Sandra all the time is here with the cold heart true. She's the ears and the eyes for me and you. Every day, everyone want to hear from Sandra. And every time on the air, she's getting better. Tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your mama, call Sandra in the morning and in the evening. They always calling Sandra. And when they start fighting, they calling Sandra. And
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth. Welcome to another episode with more truth telling, more problem solving, and of course, more tea spilling than ever before. Sit back, students, grab your tea and turn up the volume because class is now in session. Call in at 936-2626 because your voice matters. Share your opinion on issues that matter the most to you. Good morning, Blake and Aaron. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, everybody in Radio Land as well
Really?
as
Can't afford that, so that's fun.
social media world.
Well, is it shingles or is it tin?
If it was shingles, it'd be like $30,000.
What is it now, though?
Shingles.
Okay, you just remove some of those shingles and replace the boards.
A lot of different problems with the roof. So talk about that after the show.
Yes, talk about it after the show.
Good morning.
Hello.
We're just talking about roofing.
I heard you. Make sure you get a good contractor now, because boy.
Otherwise,
I have a good contractor. This is the problem. It was the contractor before.
Might end up on CMR.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
This is a good contractor that we have, but
you finally got a good one.
Oh yeah, great.
Now he's got to fix the problems from the last guy.
Exactly. Everything's double the price. This wasn't something that we did before. We did a little bit on the roof, but not. But This is much more further than when we owned the house too.
Yeah. Very stressful.
Yep.
All right, let's get going.
Okie dokie. Good morning.
Big news. I have some important news for you. Interesting news.
It's Blake and Darren's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
Cayman's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Good morning, Sandy. How are you?
Good morning, Blake and Aaron. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
How are
What do you got for us?
So we've got a outbreak of chickenpox in schools.
What?
Yeah.
They vaccinate for that.
Yeah, don't you have to have a vaccination?
Like,
Well,
some people don't.
I don't know that it's mandatory. I was thinking about this last night. Maybe it's not one of those mandatory ones for you to get into school. But 6 confirmed cases of chickenpox among students. A lot of parents and even school administrators were asking me, which schools, Sandy, which schools? We cannot say officially because apparently we reached out to public health and they said that their position and the position of the PAHO and World Health Organization guiding principles, they should not identify countries, cities, schools, or workplaces. It's crazy because did we identify them for COVID? I mean, what's the difference really? It's
I
a
don't
communicable disease.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think transparency is good. Knowledge is good. Why are we not sharing that?
I'm dumbfounded by that, and I don't understand that guiding principle, to be honest. I think you would be more cautious. So, for example, if it's a cluster at a particular school, like 4 out of the 6 are at this one school, then gosh, you need to be careful, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's dispersed all over, then the approach might be different, even for administrators. So it's weird, but you guys know if I find out on the DL, I will let y'all know. We don't believe in hiding information.
Love it. My kids are vaccinated from it. I had chickenpox as a
Yeah,
it's no fun, but it's
vaccination. What's the vaccination age, by the way?
Before.
Well, Miles is 5. He's had it.
I was gonna say, I think it.
Oh, really?
I think it was when they were like,
G would have had to have it too to be at CIS.
if she's had all of her vaccines,
yes,
that were recommended, that she had it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Varicella or something.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was like, I asked the doctor if I was like, I don't know if I really want them to have the vaccine because it wasn't that bad. But I don't know. It doesn't really. What are your points? She goes, it doesn't matter. They've already had it.
Man,
I was like, never mind.
I remember chicken pox. It was bad.
Oh my God. I had it.
So itchy.
And I think I still have like the first little pop that came out, or pop, whatever. I still have that scar, I think. Now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, it was not nice.
Once you have the chicken pox virus in your blood, then you're eligible for shingles.
Everybody's getting shingles.
And not the roof shingles that we were just talking about.
No.
Not those. No,
they're less expensive.
These ones
shingles.
are free. Yeah, these shingles are free. The other ones.
All right. Police respond to multiple DUI traffic incidents on Saturday. We're going to take a deep dive. No surprise there. I actually sat in traffic court yesterday. It is shocking. I'm going to give you guys a bit of a rundown. But yeah, it's pretty shocking what's happening in traffic court.
Like
and
what?
the reckless drivers. Like there's a guy now, he's a single dad. He's actually facing potential jail time after it was revealed that he had a total of 16 previous convictions, traffic related for the most part. And then on top of that, this is his 6th offense now that he's in court for driving whilst disqualified since 2011. And he's never, ever had a driver's license.
What? How is he not in jail?
Because they just don't.
That's the same thing the court is now asking. Like, your time has run out. All the excuses in the world about you being a single dad and your wife is in prison and, you're trying your best. She's like, this is not good enough. It's pretty astonishing. Another guy was there allegedly driving 102 miles per hour in the Esley Tibbetts Highway.
What?
I saw someone driving so crazy yesterday.
102?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
These people are just lawless.
Well,
like there has to be a complete change. It's no wonder we're having so many accidents. Oh my God. All right, let's try to throw in a couple more.
With the squeaky toy in the background.
That's Zeus.
I was gonna say Zeus out there having fun.
With this annoying squeaky toy. All right, Russian warships head to the Caribbean for a military exercise. Everybody's
just take that toy away.
This is it. Look at it. Oh my gosh, you can't even tell what it was.
Squeak it into the microphone.
Oh my gosh.
Go on, Sandy. There you go. Back to Russia. What'd
Back
you
to
say?
Russia?
All right.
That's a
So back to
warship.
Russia. Yes. Russian warships headed to the Caribbean for what they say is a military exercise. The U.S. is obviously watching this extremely carefully. They say this is all about the Western military support for Ukraine, which, has been increasing. And Russia is now trying to make port of calls in both Venezuela and Cuba. Things are heating up. We will certainly be watching that. That's a little bit too close for comfort for me. Yep.
Yeah, because we're between those two countries.
We're a little bit close there. All right. RCIPS hosts mental health crises and de-escalation trainings. This is good news. As part of their commitment to protecting vulnerable and at-risk individuals, they hosted a series of one-day crisis intervention and de-escalation training sessions last week with 174 officers and people of different ranks participating. And those are your news headlines this beautiful Thursday morning.
I got a funny story really quick before you go.
Okay.
I was having a very vivid dream last night. Actually, this morning.
Yes.
It was about 5:30, I guess, now that when I looked at my watch, but I was in a deep sleep having a dream that I was in a kickball tournament.
Okay.
And I saw the ball and I had stepped back and I was like, I'm really going to kick this thing really hard. And I took a few more steps back in my dream. And then I ran up to this thing so hard and then kicked that ball and I kicked the wall and hurt my toe.
You actually kicked the
Yeah.
wall.
Kicked the wall. Like,
sounds
legit. My sleep.
And that woke you up.
And I literally woke up. It was 5:30. I was like, oh, great. Now I have a sore toe. Thanks.
That's so funny.
Wow.
I do weird stuff like that.
In your sleep?
Yeah.
It was weird. I kicked the wall.
Yeah.
Like I was kicking. Anyway.
Yeah. I once got up and impersonated an owl, and Dion's like, what? And I went back to sleep.
Pretty wild.
All right,
All
Sandy.
right. Have a good one, guys.
Some stories for you. Yeah.
Bye.
All right.
All right. Bye. All right, Zeus. If I give this back to you, he's sitting here looking at me like, why did you take my toy? If I give you this back, you either have to leave the studio or you can't squeak it. You could see the intense look in his face right now. He's like, give it back to me. It used to be a, what was it? The face is destroyed, as you can see. What was this? Was this oh Lord, I can't even remember. Oh, it was a lamb chop. Yes, it used to be a lamb. Now you can barely tell, but the squeaky thing is still on the inside. And let me tell you, there he is. He grabs it. That's what he likes to do. He'll sit here all see. All right, we got to get him out of the studio. That much I am sure of. It's like he's like a baby with it. All right, give me one quick second. Let's evict Zeus out of the studio so he can go and enjoy himself, and we can have a good show. Minus all the noise in my head. Yeah.
BK Wings are back. You can still pick up the original wings and add your own buffalo, barbecue, or sweet and sour sauce. But now introducing 2 new varieties that come pre-smothered. Mango habanero and jerk. BK Wings are made from the best dressed chicken. Unbreaded, fried, and lightly salted to perfection. Order them plain and add your own sauce, or get them pre-smothered in delicious new jerk or mango habanero. BK Wings are back at Burger King. Grab them late at 7 Mile Beach or Red Bay. Open till midnight Thursdays and 1 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays.
CMR has reached an incredible milestone of having the #1 talk show and being the people's #1 choice for news. We would like to wholeheartedly thank you, our loyal listeners and followers, for making this possible. This is going to be an amazing year of continued growth and acceleration, and we would like for you to be a part of the journey. If you have a company that's struggling to reach your targeted customer base, why not reach out to CMR's sales team? With over 200,000 followers on both Instagram and Facebook, your message will be more impactful by advertising with us. Speak to a sales specialist today about all of the ways in which we can help you elevate your game to the next level. Email us on sales@CaymanMarlRoad.com or call 324-1612 for a consultative meeting.
All right, folks, welcome back. Yes, Zeus has been evicted out of the studio. He is gone, honey child. Can't have that noise in my head the entire show. But he sure does love his little toys. I don't know if anybody else has dogs like this. I mean, my last dog, Coco, she loved her toys, but she loved them in a different kind of way because she would literally, he's not as bad as her when it comes to ripping them to shreds. She would, like, you would give her a toy, and literally, if she had Lamb Chop there, within 10 minutes, Lamb Chop would have no face. He's had Lamb Chop for months. She would have ripped Lamb Chops apart a long time ago. And her goal was always to get to the squeaky toy and extract it. So I remember one time we gave her, I can't remember what the toy was, but it was one of these that actually had 16 squeaky things in it because it had like 8 legs on one side and 8 on another side. Let me tell you, she was having a field day with that toy. Like every single one, she was going at it and ripping them out. So there you go. Dogs are so much fun, and boy, do they love their toys. Symphony of the Seas asking if he humps his toys. No, I haven't seen him humping toys. Now, he was starting to hump people's legs. He never did me because I was like, hello, don't even think about it. But as dogs will do, he started to hump people. I noticed that he was trying it with people who I guess he thought he had a hierarchy over. I'm not really sure. So that included Gigi and my husband. And so I had to put a stop to that. And that's why he got snip, got fixed real quick. And the behavior immediately ceased, probably about 99%. All right. So listen, we've got some guests in the studio today. They've got a little crunch for time. So we are going to go ahead and get started. Good morning, Mr. Paul, joining us from the lovely sister island of Bermuda. Diamond Princess, I saw your message yesterday saying that you had missed the show. You came in late, but you're watching it after midday, so not a problem. We'll get to some of these other topical things a bit later on. Russia, says Everton, we will not back down. Oh my gosh. Y'all just love to fight, honey chill. Yeah, we're trying to de-escalate situations, not the opposite. But anyway, we'll get to some of those and some court news a little bit later on in the show. And yeah, let's go ahead and bring in our guests into today's discussion. So really, really interesting. We've been talking about this both in the local context, firearms, and this being tourists and visitors to the Cayman Islands who bring in firearms and then say that, oh my gosh, they didn't know anything about it. They like, oh, we don't know what your rules are. We're sorry. Oops, got an Uzi in the backpack. Didn't mean to bring it in. Got bullets, casings, whatever. So we're going to talk a little bit about this and really just try to dissect, what is happening here, because there's a lot of questions that kind of flow from this. And there was the most recent one in Turks and Caicos where the individual was looking at some jail time. Luckily for him, he ended up just getting a fine and he was able to leave the jurisdiction without any significant jail time. So lots of discussions around it. We're going to welcome Mr. Damien Wilson. He is no stranger to the show. Damien has been on the program before. Damien, just remind our listeners, maybe somebody new to the program hasn't heard you, your credentials, where you're from, a little bit about your background.
Okay, well, as you said, my name is Damien Wilson. I'm currently Deputy Director of Radio Turks and Caicos, which is public service broadcaster in the TCI. I have been in media and communications for the last 18 plus years, currently doing a master's in international public relations and global communication management. But I have a bachelor's in communications, media, and journalism. I have a degree in electrical engineering, oddly enough. And I am also a certified corporate coach, trainer, speaker, and a whole host of other accolades that I think I'll leave it there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, in other words, he's someone who's very entrenched in media and obviously knows quite a bit about what's going on. Thank you guys so much for the messages about D-Day, which is today. So we'll talk a little bit about what that is for listeners who may not know as well. So let's do a deep dive, Damien, because this is something that has caused issues, not just in TCI, most recently in Turks and Caicos, but even here in the Cayman Islands, we see on a regular basis that there are visitors to your island who don't seem to know what our laws are, and don't seem to care, I must admit. And so there's a ongoing issue about how to address this, what to do about it. I think the most important thing is it opens up the possibility of some real dialogue. Inside the courts, they obviously have, the laws that somewhat bind their hands, although they seem to have a lot of discretionary power. There are a lot of people who feel, as I do, that the law is being applied unequally to visitors versus locals. And I do understand the concept of why the legislation was put in place in the first place, was to address gang activity, right? And so that's the sort of the reasoning behind the legislation. But when you have legislation that point blank, it doesn't say if the person is affiliated with a gang or we suspect they're a gang member. It doesn't put any of those perimeters in place. It just says that if you are caught in possession of a firearm, this is the outcome. If you're caught in possession of ammunition, this is the outcome. If you're caught in possession of, in our laws, we have the bulletproof vest, for example. There's certain very, very strict things now that are put in place, even imitation firearms with intent to, commit crimes or whatever. So all of these things are put in place because we have a very, very strict policy of no firearms. So what changes when a visitor comes in with a firearm or a bullet? Or, we've even seen in this jurisdiction, not just a tourist visitor, but even people who were resident on the island. We had a guy who was building a multi-million-dollar house in Cayman Brac and had multiple firearms in his container, in his shipment. And in the end, he got a slap in the wrist that I can tell you no Caymanian would have ever gotten. So it seems like it's a bit unjust in terms of how the law is being applied. I have no qualms about very strict, legislation when it comes to firearms, but I think it should be applied to everybody equally, regardless of who you are.
Well, Sandy, let me just say I completely agree with you on that. I think the law in general should apply to everyone equally and fairly. We often say that justice is blind, but I think most of us living in the Caribbean and in other parts of the world realize that every now and then Lady Justice does take a little peek from underneath that blindfold. And Lady Justice does see color, money, affluence, and all the rest of it. In Turks and Caicos, similar situation. The laws, our laws were much more recent than yours, and it was put in place as a result of the ongoing gang violence that was really taking a hold of the TCI uh, around 20. I would say it started around 2019, kind of died off because of COVID. But as soon as COVID was gone, it came back with a vengeance. I think 2021 or 2022 was the year we had our highest murder rate on record. And prior to about 2015, you didn't really hear of shootings in Turks and Caicos. It just wasn't something that happened. So prior to about 10 years ago, you could say that someone getting shot in TCI would be a million to one chance. Not saying that people didn't have guns. People had guns, but it was usually for safety and security rather than to commit crimes. And since we've had a kind of an influx, and I hate to sound like I'm pinning it on any particular um, nationality, but we've had an influx of persons from Haiti in the last couple of years. Illegal migration has spiked, and along with that, so has drugs and guns. And we notice that persons are bringing in illegal drugs and illegal weapons via illegal migration, and we know this for a fact because persons have been caught. Persons have been caught with these guns, with these drugs, and so it's a commonly known route. I wouldn't say it's the only one, but it's a well-known one. And so we can get caught up with thinking, okay, it's just persons from Haiti, but the recent gang violence in TCI, we've seen Haitians, Jamaicans, Dominicans, other nationalities, persons be arrested for, violent crimes. Um, Again, while the statistics may say it's not a lot of Turks and Caicos Islanders, what you find is it's a lot of persons that were born in the Turks and Caicos, but not necessarily citizens of the Turks and Caicos. And so this begs the question: how do we deal with other issues outside of crime, like illegal migration, like persons overstaying their time, having children in the country who have no access to public programs, and therefore they can't go to school, they can't get a job, and so these persons are in the society, in the community, and if a man is hungry, what do you think he's going to do at the end of the day? I'm not justifying crime. I'm saying that it's a knock on effect because we fail to deal with other issues. Crime has become the result. So people like to say that crime is a result of development. I don't necessarily believe that crime has to come with development. The problem is that services and other parts of society have not kept pace with development, and it's allowed crime to have a breeding ground.
Very good point. And I think that, it's interesting how across the Caribbean we can see similarities in different jurisdictions as well. So, thank you for giving that bit of background information on your legislation, how it came about. I must admit that I'm a little bit surprised because in the case of Cayman, we have had spikes in gun violence, probably, I guess, before TCI. And I'm a bit surprised to learn that it's only in more recent times, really, like you said, maybe the past 10 years, that you guys have been fighting this, whereas we've been fighting it, I feel like, probably the past 15 or 20 years. So it looks like it might have escalated a bit earlier here in the Cayman Islands. I'd be curious to maybe have someone do some comparisons as to why that might actually be. What's your population size in TCI at the moment?
Well, our population since COVID, it kind of shrank because of persons leaving the country, but it's gone back up. So we just conducted a census between last year and early part of this year. And those numbers are expected to come back in the next couple of months. But if we go off the mid-year estimations by the Statistics Authority and TCI, we're roughly just under 50,000 estimated. I believe official figures will come in probably slightly over that, especially when we start to count persons, illegal migration and so forth, because I think illegal migration will count for a lot of the increase in numbers.
Wow. So you still have a population that sounds quite a bit smaller than ours, believe it or not.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a good bit smaller than Cayman. The thing about it is that a lot of our population, almost 2/3 of it, is concentrated on one island.
And
So,
how many islands are in TCI? Remind us.
Well, the country has 40 islands and keys altogether, but only 8 are inhabited. So you have about 6 inhabited islands and 2 keys, which are basically an island that's under 2 miles.
Okay. Very, very interesting. Folks, phone lines open 936-2626 if you have any thoughts on this. So over the years, we have had a number of tourists who've come into our jurisdiction. Now, do you know when TCI put the legislation in place, whether or not they looked to other places like Cayman, for example, to see how we had implemented our legislation?
That's the question being asked right now by a lot of persons in the public. And I think a lot of people are pressuring the government to answer that question, whether or not they actually looked around and see how the legislation was applied in other jurisdictions, because we know some of the legislation most likely was probably copied from Cayman and other countries that already had this legislation in place and probably more or less amended to fit the TCI context. And that happened originally in 2022. the government came in with a whole raft of anti-gang legislation, you know, aimed at curbing the violence, and stamping out a lot of the gang-related crime. So not just crime in general, but specifically crime related to gang activity, which we realized a lot of the shootings were more or less retaliations. So one gang member was shot, his friends went out and decided to shoot someone from the other gang, and it just continues to this day. It's just a non-stop retaliatory process, and we have to find a way of breaking that cycle.
Mm-hmm. I mean, same exact thing here. And that's why I'm curious, really, about how much they looked at how the law was being applied, not just the actual legislation itself, but the application of the legislation and therefore the practicalities of the legislation and how it was actually working for us. And so there are some issues, undoubtedly, with legislation, especially legislation that provides for a minimum or mandatory, I should say, sentence. So tell us for TCI, what's the basics of your anti-gun legislation?
Well, our anti-gun legislation essentially mandates, if you are caught with possession of a weapon, if you're not a licensed firearm holder in the Turks and Caicos Islands, and you get caught with a weapon or ammunition, it's mandatory 12 years. It used to be 5 years at one point. And when the gang violence originally started, the legislation was amended to 12 years. And persons said, hey, after about a year, hey, this isn't working. We need to do something else. And then the legislation was amended again. And in 2022, after COVID, people were like, you know what? We just need to do something really drastic to kind of send a message to persons involved in gang activity. If you get caught, this essentially will be the end of your productive years. And, you know, so far, the question again comes back to, is it working?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
so
are we catching the persons we want?
Yes.
Go ahead, Cindy.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so the 12 years has only been in place for a couple of years then. So it's very new.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Huh. So
it's extremely new. I would say it's roughly just maybe about 2 years old.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's talk about application then, because I guess you guys probably haven't had that many test cases. Certainly not for the 12 years. You know, all legislation, I'm sure the TCI legislation has this sort of out as well, where it talks about exceptional circumstances. And of course, that's a discretionary power that you leave the judiciary, because anybody who's familiar with the courts and with law in general will know that courts do not like to have their hands bound by absolute elements of legislation. So they don't like legislation that says you must sentence someone to a 10-year sentence if they're found with a possession of a firearm, and there's no out, there's no exceptional circumstances to be considered. Now, what is to be considered exceptional circumstances? Of course, because it's left up to the discretion of the sentencing judge, seems to be, in my opinion, applied very, for lack of a better term, willy-nilly. And I feel like there's actually some discrimination in the application of it in favor of people who are foreign nationals and who are not, Caymanians or native to the Cayman Islands or full Caribbean residents. And so I have a number of examples, Damien, that I'm going to share with you here today, and I'd like your feedback. Let's talk a little bit first about the TCI situation. So you guys were in the news recently where you had a gentleman who there was, in his case, it was spent shells, was it?
They say it was spent hunting rifle shells. So I think there was roughly 20 of them.
Right.
Which I mean, you may want to say, okay, it's harmless without the rifle. And while I agree, the law is a bit extreme in that circumstance, the law is still the law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and while I
Yeah.
felt for the gentleman and his family, we had to take into consideration that, you know, I am an advocate of people doing their due diligence before they travel. Before I go somewhere, I try to find out as much about the place before I get there, including what laws I might violate, by accident. Like we all know about Singapore and the ridiculous chewing gum law.
Yeah.
Other countries have other extremes, like some countries don't allow certain American products in. I mean, but you have to know these things before you get there.
Yeah. It's like the times in the past when I went to Cuba, they had very strict legislation about, you couldn't have things like walkie-talkies. I mean, who would know? Like that back in the day, that was like, well, before we had proper cell phone coverage or whatever, we'd take walkie-talkies when we traveled so we could be like in a marketplace and still communicate with each other. But you got to respect their laws. And when you were at their port of entry and they said, hand over your walkie-talkies, we're going to confiscate it, there was no real argument with those individuals. Now, in most of the cases, these persons are American tourists. And of course, in the context of the fact that in the United States of America, gun ownership, gun usage it's like having a sandwich for lunch. Everybody has one.
Pretty common.
Yes. The kids have access to firearms. Granny at 102 probably has a couple of shotguns underneath the bed. I mean, it is just a free-for-all when it comes to weaponry in the US. So their cultural context of how they see weapons and how they use weapons, highest murder rate by far for things like mass shootings and stuff like that. They come from a very different place and how they have a First Amendment right to bear arms and all these types of things, right? So their perspective, I think, is very, very different. And I think in probably 99% of the cases, we had an exception the other day, but in 99% of our cases, every foreign national who's come in with a firearm violation has actually been an American. So the last guy was Canadian with, Russian background. He was a bit of an anomaly. Everybody else has been an American, which I think speaks for itself, really. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandra.
Good morning.
Good morning to you again. I haven't been able to listen to the full thing. I just tuned in and I'm actually going to have to tune back up for the meeting. But something that your guest said that struck a nerve with me. And that one being, well, the law is the law, even though it was kind of ridiculous, or not ridiculous in terms of use, but basically, a bit strenuous for that particular circumstance. And that really struck a nerve with me because, simply put, you cannot use the example, the law is the law. It was legal to own people at one point in time in the U.S., not too long ago. And there was segregation and there was laws and all of that stuff. So that what we need to acknowledge is that laws are written. We have many of them here in the Cayman Islands and throughout the world that are poorly thought out. And a lot of unintended consequences actually had a massive negative impact to the general populace. And in particular for the Turks and Caicos and maybe even the Cayman Islands, you continue arresting people. And don't get me wrong, I'm not excusing the ignorance of the North American tourists, because there's a lot of that as well. But you keep on doing that, and I promise you, your tourism market will go through the floor. Because it don't take long for people to say, hey, first of all, they take offense to their fellow countrymen being arrested for something that's seen as absolutely ridiculous. And second of all, they don't want to run that risk. So you just can't say the law is the law. You can acknowledge that the law is the law, but clearly we got something wrong. Let's refine it and move proactively towards it.
Or is the problem that Americans travel around the world and have no respect for other people's laws? And you're saying that we should bend to that?
No.
Can I say something?
Let's not go into the minutia, because we have to speak in general terms. We have a lot of arrogant and ignorant North Americans. They're renowned the world over for it, or North Americans, I should say, and even the West, the general developed West, right? Because they've got so many freedoms and they got so much else, and a lot of this stuff is ignorance. Now, again, I'm not excusing that. What I'm saying to you is there's clearly a breakdown in communication. So, for example, countries that are known to be very strict with their gun laws, firearms laws, or whatever other laws. But and it's in particular for me, I would like to think that my government would take a proactive approach and say, hey, Cayman Airways, you're a government subsidized entity. We're using the taxpayers' dollars to make you run, and we rely heavily, heavily, heavily on tourism dollars. We are going to put an over-exaggerated information campaign on don't bring firearms of any kind or any affiliated parts of firearms to these islands. Your luggage.
While you're on that, can I interject? Don't get me wrong when I say the law is the law. What I'm saying is that the law exists and we have to follow it as written, and unless Parliament amends it. But you've touched on exactly what I've been saying in Turks and Caicos. I am one of the most vocal advocates against the law, ironically. And the reason why I'm against the law is because I believe any law applied without proper communication, you run the risk of having what you have now. And I do think that the government has not communicated the law very well, not to the public in Turks and Caicos and not to the persons overseas. So don't get me wrong when I say the law is the law. I believe that if the government writes a law, we have to follow it. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't review it or we shouldn't amend it in any way, because as you rightfully said, the law can be wrong. I think the law quite often does get things wrong, and this is why there needs to be a review process. And I guess that process will come. But at the end of the day, it has to be applied fairly. And I think that is the thing I'm probably advocating for most. I know the law exists. I know it's in place, but let's apply it fairly across the board and not just because of people's nationalities. Now, the ironic thing is, persons before these last 5 cases, Americans had gotten caught with ammo and you didn't hear anything of it. And none of them actually got the 12 years. Why? Because of the exceptional circumstances clause. So I don't know what made these last 5 cases so notable to American politicians.
I didn't see anything exceptional except that they are American tourists, and that's not exceptional. We get millions of them every single year. All right, Eddie, thank you very much for those comments. Leave us there.
Can I just add?
Sure.
Can I just add a couple of things? Second, again, like I said, it has to be. We just cannot put laws in place in isolation. There has to be a information campaign behind it, and especially when the lifeblood of your country is at stake, i.e., tourism. But backing up just real quick in terms of your sentences and for the escalating gun crimes and firearms crimes, I say that is being. And this is just pure opinion. I am no sociologist or anything to say that, but I like to approach life with some level of common sense, which I think is a flower that blossoms in very few gardens these days. But the point being is that you have people sitting down that live a pretty decent life. You know, lawmakers, judges, senior authorities in the legal fields and community, and what will deter people from using firearms? And they go, okay, we'll do 12 years. 12 years is the most productive years of your life. You're going to lose. You're not dealing with these kind of people who are accustomed to family units and again, generally speaking, that has a support group out there and decided just to be mischievous. These are people who've grown up with nothing, that had no love from their family. In fact, the reason they are with gangs is because they get more love from their gangs, because people will stand up for them and what have you. And the simple answer to this is, again, read the Yolanda Ford report that the Cayman Islands had produced, I don't know, a decade and a half ago, maybe more. And there's simple answers there, but we just don't want to deal with this thing head on. And so as long as we keep ignoring it, we will keep on with the same problems, because they are getting fed, they're getting help, they're getting everything they need in prison. So
I think the larger issues are definitely much deeper and need to be addressed. But for the context of today's this is a much narrower conversation about the application of the firearms law across different jurisdictions. And I'm saying that the application does not seem to be equitable in any way. So
I would agree with that, but like I said, I missed the first part of it. So for that part, I apologize. But if we bring up one part of a topic and then leave everything else in isolation, we'll just be like a dog chasing the tail. And I think there has to be a whole other conversation. But that'll be a good thing.
All right. Thank you very much. We have another caller in the line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. When this first came up with the case in TCI, I had called in, and here's the thing, right? I agree with the guy. The law is the law, and how much due diligence are the prosecutors or whoever going to do? Yes, I understand what he's saying. Oh, it's just shells, and maybe they're harmless without a rifle. But who's to say that those rifles that fit that ammunition don't already exist in TCI or in our case in Grand Cayman? And who's to say that ammunition isn't going to end up with that rifle? How do we know? Is someone
well,
doing
this has always been
into these tourists to see have they been in communication with locals? How do we know?
Exactly.
Just because they're tourists, that means that they can't be involved in violence and gang.
Yeah.
Like
listen, this has been one of my concerns, is that it's very easy for collusion to take place between Caymanians and people over anyone here and people overseas. We've already seen it as it relates to drugs. So why would firearms be any different?
Our gangsters, so-called gangsters, they're not stupid.
Yeah.
They know that the ammunition is illegal. They will find a way to get it here, even if it's through a tourist.
Yep.
So the law is the law. And if those tourists come here and break the law, it should be applied equally to them.
Yes. Thank you, caller.
Sandy,
thank you.
Sandy, let me add to what the caller said, right? At the end of the day, nobody wants to feel that if they go to a courtroom, they're going to be treated differently than someone else simply because I live here and that person doesn't live here. And I would hate to think that we decide our law on economic basis. Otherwise, we're essentially disparaging a whole segment of the population simply because of their socioeconomic status and the fact that they're not, or we think they're not contributing to the tourism industry. And I think as countries, we have to look at the message we're sending to our own citizens at the end of the day. I agree that this is a serious communication problem, but at the same time, you're also sending a message to your citizens that justice is not blind and that justice often takes into account where you're traveling from. And I think that's wrong. Nobody should have to face that at the end of the day. Now, as I was saying, no one actually got the 12 years. There were cases before these last 5 cases. I firmly believe that it's political because this is an election year. And if you look at the persons that the tourists that have been arrested in the last few months, it's all people from what you call Second Amendment states, the U.S. South, the former Confederacy states. Nothing against these people, but I'm just saying that it's an odd coincidence, right? And because it's an election year, I think that's why the politicians got involved, because they want to use TCI as more or less a political football and kick us around because they feel that they can get away with it. Nobody's going to do anything. They can say whatever they want, and it's going to rile up their base and gin up support for them. And that's essentially what they've been doing. If you look at it, even after 2 persons we essentially given a slap on the wrist and let go, the politicians are still continuing on with it.
All right, we do have another call. Morning caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning, and good morning to your guest
morning.
there, I think, from the TCI, I believe. Okay, if you would bear with me, please, because I'm going to be leaving you at 9 o'clock because World Cup cricket is going on, okay? Yes.
Yes, it has been. Yes.
I cannot be absent. So.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyway, I would like to offer my opinion and 2 cents worth in this whole thing about the laws. I don't care if they're gun laws or not. I have a problem with the way that these laws are put in place, but of course, depending on who's caught with the in this case, guns or bullets, depending on, I'm going to say it straight out, the color of their skin, who they're friends with, or what their nationality is how they're dealt with in the court. And in case the courts have not realized this, they are now creating another problem, which is going to escalate. I hope they can handle that. We have people that are caught here in Cayman with guns or ammunition for guns, and non-Caymanians get bail. And as soon as they get bail, they jump ship. They're gone. You know that. Sandra, they tune into your show and listen to us talking about them because they're looking for them. But yet, Caymanians, grassroots Caymanians, do not get bail, and they are told they're not getting bail because they're a flight risk. Now, how does that go over to one? And I don't care what their economic status is. You're Caymanian, so where the hell are you going? You can take their passport, any amount of passports that they have, that they can't travel. You can put an ankle, what the thing means, the monitor on them. But then tourists or the white people come in here with absolutely no regard for our laws, even though they are told you cannot bring it here. They still bring it, but because they're who they are, our laws don't apply to them. And then everybody joins hands with them, fighting for them and defending them so that they should be set free. No, I'm sorry. I have a serious problem with that. And we've seen that happen more than one time here.
Yes.
That needs to stop. If the law is A, then A must be applied to all. And Americans need to stop what they're doing, because the minute they get in trouble anywhere else, then America's threatening that country, holding a stick over their head. I was actually away following this story, and I saw when they were putting this thing out, threatening TCI about boycotting them with tourism.
You can imagine.
Not right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely wrong. And they only do it to countries that they consider lesser than.
Well, I'll disagree with you there, because they will try it with countries like Russia, but they're not paying them any mind.
I actually wrote a comment just now when I did.
Because remember when they had the basketball star there?
Brittany Griner.
Yeah, they were trying to negotiate with Russia and put pressure on Russia.
But the thing is, their headline was that she was wrongfully detained, even though she
broke the law.
Admitted that she brought it in accidentally, which could be the truth. You know, she does have a medical prescription for it. My thing on this is, if you are going to be traveling, and I'm not buying this story that they had gone Target shooting and so, and it was left in their backpack. They can sell that at any rotten fish market, they'll take it, but this one wouldn't. I don't care what anybody wants to say. If it was one person that it had happened with, perhaps, but not what, 4, 6? So when you're traveling, you don't pack your bag. You're packing your bag that you went Target shooting with to travel. Come on.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I mean,
I have never, and I said this. I said this to
of the TCI. I came on or wherever they go with it.
Yeah, no, I have said this before. I've never traveled anywhere and not checked my suitcase. Like, I don't even know what they're talking about. Who doesn't check? Who doesn't check your bag in your suitcase?
Well, can I? There's a case in TCI, and this is the one that everybody's watching. It just started yesterday, and it's a local individual that was caught. A lady who was caught with one bullet in, I believe it was her handbag or her check-in luggage, while traveling through the airport. Now, she says it's not hers. She doesn't know how it got in her bag. Of course, there's speculation about one of her relatives who's well known to be involved in that kind of activity. right? Now, everybody's watching to see what the judge does in this case now that we've had decisions come in three of the Americans' cases, and they've all essentially, well, two got basically a fine and let go. One is still waiting to be sentenced, but it's more than likely it's going to be the same thing since he has a serious medical condition and is gravely ill. So I seriously doubt that any judge is going to give that individual jail time, right? But again, given that these three cases have already proceeded, and now we have someone from the Turks and Caicos that I think the individual is a teacher actually, and they've now said, hey, well, I don't know how this one bullet got in my bag. Everybody's looking to see, okay, what does the judge decide in this case? How will the law apply for this person? Because previous local individuals, despite them claiming their innocence, they were all essentially caught with illegal weapons or other items that were illegal. They shouldn't have had it.
Yes.
Right. So I tell people that you can't look at those cases and make a judgment because those persons weren't supposed to have the firearms to begin with.
Yeah.
Sandra, if I could just add something else there. I'm not going to call any country's laws ridiculous. They're their laws, whether we like them or don't. First of all, when you're traveling, wherever you're traveling to, you should read up on that country's laws. Educate yourself at least on the basics. Not just their laws, but their cultures and stuff like that. What you can do, what you cannot do, what is the currency that is the word is escaping me right now. But in other words, do you need to go, to the bank and exchange the currency, or can you use the currency you brought on the street or in the shops and so on? Because we know that in some countries you can't do that. And I'll just give a quick example here. I was going to Morocco, and I'm one of these people that when I'm traveling anywhere, I don't care where it is, I take the time to do a little read up on the place just so that I have basic information. And what I found out is that going into Morocco, if you are on medication, and I'm talking about marijuana, prescribed marijuana stuff, any medication, be it blood pressure medication, heart medication, you have to bring a certified letter from your doctor stating, listing every medication you are on and what it's for. It has to be signed and sealed because if they find it, if they search you and they find it on you and you don't have this letter to present, they're going to confiscate it. And this is all legal prescribed medication. Now, to a person that's on medication, they might say, what a foolish law, what a stupid thing, that's unnecessary. But guess what? It's their law. You chose to visit their country, so you have to respect their laws. So I'm sick and tired of hearing this nonsense about, the laws are ridiculous. Whether they're ridiculous or not, whether they need to be fine-tuned, whether they need to be rewritten, they are the laws today, and they should be applied across the board. I don't care where you are, where you're from, and where you're going. I went to the Turks and Caicos Islands, and I was traveling with my, oh God, now it's escaping me. Look at this now. Oh God, help me out here, Sandra. The thing, they put it on you when you do physiotherapy, the electric thing there.
Oh, the TENS machine?
TENS unit machine.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So I was traveling with mine. I traveled all over the world with it. When I got to the Turks and Caicos Islands, I was leaving the Turks and Caicos Islands now, and the bag's up on the thing, and then they asked, whose bag is this? I said, it's my bag. So they said, they need to search his bag. They took us, what is this? And I explained to them what it is. Of course, it has the little electrodes, with little wire and stuff. I keep the instruction paper right there in the case, and they didn't know what it was. And it seemed to me like they were suspicious that this thing could have been a bomb. And I kept trying to explain to them. Yeah, I kept trying to explain, I have a back problem. I said, I've had back surgery already, and this is something I use for pain. I even pulled my shirt up to show them, evidence that I'd had back surgery, and kept explaining what this thing is. But they very reluctantly let me take it with me. So let me tell you what happened now. As a result of that experience, I never traveled anywhere with it again. Because it wasn't so much about them taking it from me. What if they had arrested me? Even if they detained me just to verify what it was. I don't want that to happen to me. So, and that was in my carry-on bag.
Yes.
So when I travel again, now, could I convince anyone that I didn't repack my carry-on bag and that was still in it and I went somewhere and then something else happened? So, like I said, this story about, it was their backpack and it was left, that is bull caca. I don't care what anybody wants to say. If you pack a backpack and you take Gigi out on a picnic, Sandra, I don't think that's the same backpack you're going to pick up to travel to Miami to do your business and come back. And even if you only had the one backpack and then you were going on a different trip, I'm pretty sure you were going to unload the stuff you had packed for that picnic. Okay?
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Look, sorry, just before you go, I just want to end on this, and I know that you haven't gotten to this yet, but since I could be leaving you because my cricket is waiting, I just want to say, it is D-Day, and I think that everyone should just take a minute and appreciate that, 80 years ago, people fought for the freedom that we enjoy today. And we should not take that for granted, because I think we can see what is happening in the world today, that could be removed as quickly as we got it, or as quickly as this day happened.
Yes.
So, especially to all the survivors,
the veterans,
of
yes.
D-Day, we should really salute them, thank them, and take a minute, pause, and appreciate the freedom that we enjoy today.
Thank you so much.
And I want to give you a little. I can give you a quiz that you can offer a prize for.
Okay.
So I didn't. I don't know if you don't know the answer to this. I'll write you the answer privately.
Okay.
Ask the question and do it quickly because you don't want people looking it up to know already. Ask the question. What does D-Day mean? Okay, and ask it like I said earlier because you don't want to have anybody going on to search it up and stuff. If you don't know the answer off the top of your head, send me a private message and I'll just send you the answer privately. And your host can join into it too, but make sure you got prize to give them.
All right.
Have a wonderful day,
thank
Sandra.
You so
thank
much.
You for giving me the time.
Thank you very, very much.
Okay.
Okay.
Sandy.
Yes, Damon.
I just wanted to say, just thanking those persons who may have served or who had relatives, not just who served in World War II, but that continue to serve today. Thank you guys for the sacrifices that you continue to make so that the rest of us can have the opportunity to be on radio and argue over things that may seem minor when you put it in the grand scheme of things, but that are absolutely important to everyday life. It's the freedoms that people have fought, bled, and died for.
Absolutely. Yes, Damien, I was just going to say that just looking at a few of the other cases that we've had recently in April, we had a U.S. veteran who's fined $22,000 for loaded magazine. So there's varying levels. Yeah.
Wow.
There are varying levels. And this fine, believe it or not, was probably the highest that anyone has paid. Normally it's like $200 for court fees and maybe a couple $1,000. So this one was quite on the high side. And then we see by comparison, Caymanians being sentenced in one case to 11 and a half years, 10 years in another case. And I think there was a guy who got closer to, or he might have gone over 20 years for his activities. Of course, there were other factors such as he had a pre-existing record and so on as well. But this is definitely, to our recollection, perhaps the largest fine that any foreigner has paid. But I mean, where do you draw the line? We've got firearms, loaded magazines. We've got a guy who was, like I said, building a house in Cayman Brac, and he came in with multiple firearms. I'm trying to remember his name.
Well, Sandy, in the case of Turks and Caicos, we haven't had anyone that's gotten over 10,000, and well, in these recent cases, no one has gotten over 10,000 in terms of a fine. And that's all been foreign nationals, Americans, as we all know. And we have, like I said, there are 2 more cases to come, and then there's 1 person waiting on sentencing. And we now have a few cases involving locals coming up. But again, I think people need to make the distinction that despite the fact that these persons are locals, they're all caught with illegal weapons. They should not have it. We cannot compare apples and oranges here. While I do think the law needs to be fair, I do think we in the public also need to understand that not all circumstances are equal.
Yes.
Right? It's different if you get caught with ammunition.
Yes.
Right? In your bag while leaving the country. But if you're caught on the street in your car with a firearm and ammunition in the seat, that's a completely different scenario. And you have to have an answer for that.
Yes.
And I think
caller line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandy.
Morning.
Good topic. I don't know if you remember, the United States is like a David and Goliath. They want to impose on every other country in the world. Of course, the United States is one of the best countries in the world. I visit there on vacation. Everybody wants to go to on vacation there.
Well, that's because you just want to shop and then get back out. That isn't, Mr. Dexter, with all due respect, make it the best country in the world. That just makes it the best shopping in this part of the world.
It's like a David and
absolutely agree, Sandy.
How in the world do they impose? If I went in there and they found a loaded gun or a grenade or a bullet, it doesn't matter. It's ammunition. Why are they going to do me? You think that they're going to say, well, okay, that's a bad deed, and they're going to pat me on my hand and let me go? No, I'd probably spend time in jail. I don't know if you remember when Michael Fay, back when Bill Clinton was in office, Michael Fay's father, he said the crime was so bad in the United States that he went to Singapore to live because Singapore was a better country. His son had a rap sheet long as my arm, and he went to stay with his father because he was a terrible boy or a young man, and he went to Singapore to stay with his father and graffitied or scratched up somebody's car. They convicted him of and they were going to cane him. I think it was 5 or 6 canes. This is when Bill Clinton was in office. And guess what? Bill Clinton wrote the prime minister, the premier or the governor or whatever of Singapore at the time, and asking if you could commute it to community services. The prime minister or the premier or whatever, or king or whatever, Singapore says, we do not change, we do not interfere with your laws. Leave us alone and let us make this country the safest country in the world. And Michael Fay's father totally agreed. He said that is why he is living outside the United States and he wants to live in Singapore.
Yes.
So this, I find this to be something is wrong with this. The United States can't tell another country what their laws should be. What gives them the right to do that? I know a lot of people would not agree with this. the United States has no right to tell me that we can't change our laws to make this place a safer place.
Mm-hmm.
Every day, United States now you hear mass killings and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we had one recently down there by the stadium. It's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Caller, can I add to what you're saying? The ironic thing is the law was changed to protect those very same people.
Mm-hmm.
That's the ironic thing in the situation. I wouldn't even say the law was changed to protect the citizens of the country, even though that might be sounding controversial. It seems like we in the Caribbean, we only react to crime when it begins to affect tourists. And in this situation, we only started reacting when the issue started affecting tourists. And so the law was changed for these same people that are now arguing that the law is stupid.
And
right? Now,
to your point, Damien, that reminds me as well that even our legislators at one point passed some legislation that if offenses were taking place in what they considered a tourist jurisdiction, that it would carry a higher penalty than if it was, I guess, in the heart of East End, where, clearly they don't need you to be quite as law-abiding as you would be on 7 Mile Beach. So, Mr. Dexter, thank you very much. We have another caller in the line. Good morning, caller.
I just want to say to your guest that I wish I could shake his hand right now. Because the amount of sense that he's talking, these people are not ready for that yet, Sandra. They're not ready to hear this conversation. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
I mean, Sandy, if I add to this, I think one of the things that nobody is asking, including the very same American politicians that are, advocating to boycott Turks and Caicos, is how in the world do people come from your country, clear TSA on multiple occasions, and nobody catches them with ammunition? That is my question. And I keep asking, where is TSA in all of this? No, I see Good Morning America questioning TCI security protocols, but nobody's questioning TSA that is supposed to be keeping Americans safe.
Exactly. I mean, wow. Here's another example here in Cayman. So this was David Meadows. He was a 52-year-old American at the time. This is back in 2017. Appeared in Grand Court where he was getting set for a trial. 240 rounds. Listen to what he brought in. So he was a millionaire who was building a home in Cayman Brac. 240 rounds of ammunition during a routine customs check of his container. It had building materials and other stuff. A Glock 9mm handgun and a Smith & Wesson BB gun having been discovered. 240 rounds of ammunition, Damien. And I'm gonna ask you, while we listen to this caller, I'm gonna ask you to guess what his sentence would have been after he absconded from the jurisdiction. Let's talk about that. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning there.
To answer Miss Brenda's quiz, right? D-Day stands for, it's actually short for Day, right? Like the day with the disembark. So my question now to Miss Brenda is, what is my prize?
I hadn't gotten around to even getting to this
I'll
yet.
wait, Miss Brenda. I'll wait. Good day, Sandra.
Oh my goodness. So
you know what the funny thing is, Sandy?
Yes.
My wife and I literally Googled the meaning of D-Day last night. So I knew the answer.
Oh my goodness.
But to your question, I'm guessing this person probably got no more than 3 months suspended sentence or something of the sort.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. So listen, he was the CEO of a Broward Impact Window and Door Company. He came up with some excuse that he needed to leave to secure his properties in Dania Beach for hurricane season, et cetera, et cetera. The court gave him his passport back, permitted him to leave, and then guess what? In 2019, he absconded the jurisdiction. Yep, left and didn't come back. So they did have a trial in his absence. I'm trying to remember what he ended up I know it was a slap on the wrist, obviously. It wasn't, let me just see if I can find him real quick. It was.
The thing about it is, if anybody who pays attention to the law knows, America does not, under any circumstances, extradite its citizens.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what he. Anyway, he got a slap on the wrist. It might have been a little fine. I'll look it up. Let me just see here. Yeah, but he got a fine. He got a fine or something. I'll double check what it was, but nothing. Even for absconding the jurisdiction.
No, and the thing is, even if they caught him in the U.S., he wouldn't be sent back to Cayman. The Americans would tell you, no, we have to deal with him here in the U.S. And I can't fault them for that. They're protecting their own. And at the end of the day, Caribbean governments need to understand that the U.S. will protect their own, and you need to protect yours. However, I do agree that we need to be sensible, because whether or not we like it, we put ourselves in the economic position where we're dependent upon them for our tourism industry. Right? And I keep telling people, at the end of the day, I see tourism as akin to modern slavery. Now, I know tourism officials don't want to hear that. And I know that it's going to offend some travelers. But that's how I see the industry. It's oftentimes white, absentee, often European ownership, mixed race middle management, and black workers. And that's the structure of the tourism industry. And as often the workers that get the worst end of the industry. I'm not saying that the industry isn't good. I'm not saying the industry hasn't brought us benefits, but we have to acknowledge that the industry has a particular structure.
Yeah, that's a whole other show there, Damien. But here was another one. This is an American woman in gun case. So she was 67-year-old Carol Ann, big-time Trump supporter, came to the U.S. as a passenger aboard a cruise ship when she was arrested with a 25 millimeter pistol and 6 rounds of ammunition. So she pled guilty. They went through a trial, had a hung jury, and then unfortunately, they, well, not unfortunately, but they decided to retry her, and she took her own life in the U.S. with a firearm. Good morning, caller.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, we're actually live on the radio, though. So are you trying to get on the radio or? Oh, okay. Okay. After the show, after 10:30. Okay, there. All right. Remember, folks, we are live on the radio from 7:30 to 10. Yeah, so she actually ended up committing suicide, unfortunately. I guess because of this. I mean, I don't know, but it's pretty wild.
I mean, Sandy, unfortunately I have to start getting ready to hit the road. But I will say this, right? I'm going to end with this. The thing that we have to understand, and I think what we have to really and truly do in the Caribbean countries, is evaluate whether or not these laws are actually having the intended effect. Right? And that is my big question, regardless of who gets arrested and all of this showboating and arguments back and forth. At the end of the day, is this reducing crime? That is the real question, because gun crime in the Caribbean is out of control.
Yes.
We don't like to talk about it. We don't like to deal with it. But at some point, we have to face reality. If the Turks and Caicos, which didn't have this 10 years ago, now has it and is caught in the middle of it, the question we're asking is, can we roll back this wave of gun crime that's coming across the region?
Yes. All right.
And that is my question.
That's we do have a call on the line. Good morning, caller.
Morning, Auntie Sandy. It's Johan. How's it going?
Morning. Good. How are you?
All right. Interesting topic as usual. And the perspectives from your overseas guests. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for his contributions. But I just want to keep things Cayman focused in the sense that, yes, it's unfortunate when somebody mistakenly leaves bullets or brings a gun. But that isn't really our problem, because if I show up in Miami and I mistakenly leave my pistol in my bag and I just never checked properly, whatever. U.S. authorities won't give a shit, to be honest with you. And
Language, sir. We're on the radio.
Sorry, I thought it was. Oh, yeah, I forgot the time. Sorry. Well, the U.S. authorities won't care what my excuse is. I will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, and there will be consequences for that. So I'm not sure what makes any American citizen or anybody else from any other country or from the moon, for that matter, exempt from being held accountable for their flagrant breach of local legislation. Now, I appreciate that sometimes there's a legitimate accident that takes place, but where the hell are you going when you go on vacation where you need a gun and you need all of this stuff? The guy from Cayman that basically absconded. For us domestically, that sets the bar because he would have been given a blight. He's been given a chance to leave the jurisdiction. He's never going to return, and there's never going to be anything that happens to that person. But I promise you, if John Ebanks or Mary Bush decided that they were involved in some nefarious activity where gunplay was involved, they're seeing jail time for 10 years at a minimum. So what makes a foreign national more important than the natives who break the laws and face the consequences? And I don't care about the tourism consequences. I care about the application, the consistent application of law that applies to all of us, because nobody is exempt from the law. Nobody is special. I don't care who your mom or daddy is or what country you're born in. If a Caymanian can go to jail, a foreigner can go to jail, and they'll learn their lesson. And if that ruins their life, that ruins their life. You know why? Caymanians make mistakes all the time. Their lives are ruined, and nobody cares about it. They're just a statistic, and we keep the party moving, and we pretend like everything is okay. So it's about us applying our rules, our laws, and making sure that one standard is applied across the board, because if it's good enough for Caymanians, it's good enough for foreigners that come here and break our laws. And if I was in America, they do exactly the same thing to me. So that's what I want to say. Great show. Keep it going. All right.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Mr. Damien, are you done for in terms of your time? I know you've got some other commitments this morning.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go and leave you guys. But that last caller, I absolutely agree with him. You know, he's spot on with a lot of the issues, and you know, I know he wants to keep it Caymanian, but I think it's an issue that when you look at the BVI and other British overseas territories, we're all experiencing the same thing. Maybe it's something we can come together, put our heads together, and find a way of dealing with it.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, I think that that's right. And that's why, you know, I try to have these Caribbean connection segments, because we will see that, you know, we are different, unique. Every single country, you know, has its own uniqueness, but there's so many common threads amongst the region as well. And why do we need to reinvent the wheel? This is why my question was, you know, the Turks and Caicos, so the legislators in Turks and Caicos do their homework in terms of how the law was actually working and being applied in the Cayman Islands, because to see the exact same scenarios playing out in TCI and the same outcome where Americans are going to get a little fine, get a slap on the wrist, and be able to leave the jurisdiction after making these kind of mistakes, you know, we could even collectively, from a marketing perspective, quite frankly, do a better job of saying, hey, in the Caribbean, we have very, very strict no gun, no ammunition, no whatever laws. Make sure that if you're an American tourist and you're getting on a cruise ship or you are traveling anywhere in the Caribbean, that you are aware that these offenses, possession tends to carry very, very significant, you know, jail time as a possibility. And we could save money if we collectively advertise it instead of each country trying to be in a frolic of their own. Damien, thank you so much.
Absolutely, Sandy.
Yes, thank you so much for always being willing to join in these very topical and interesting conversations.
Thank you, and I appreciate all the love that you guys have shown me this morning. And of course, as always, you know, let's figure out a way as, you know, Caribbean countries and as British overseas territories, how we can help each other and solve some of these issues.
All right. On that note, we thank Mr. Damien Wilson from joining us at TCI News, and we appreciate you always bringing some very, very insightful comments and contributions to the segment.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, my dear. All right. And just to update you guys, in the case of this guy here from TCI 52, the judge issued a suspended 52-month sentence, which I must say is still more, to be clear, is still more than what our judges have been doing, because we're not sentencing them at all. This guy got a sentence and then it was suspended. What we're doing is we're simply giving them fines, and normally the fine isn't very much. So this guy was able to leave the jurisdiction after having got a suspended 52-month sentence. And again, from the state of Pennsylvania, dad of 2, and former pro baseball player who pleaded guilty to this offense. Ammunition in his luggage, and it is punishable in TCI to up to 12 years. And they have several other Americans. So he was one of 5 Americans being detained in CCI since February for having ammunition in their luggage. So he also was ordered to pay a $6,500 fine. And I'm willing to bet he's never going to make that mistake again of leaving ammunition in his luggage. Folks, believe me, you've got to get a handle on it. Now, I think there was a lady caller who mentioned this, the young lady there, saying that how do we know that, Caymanians are not working in collusion with some of these so-called tourists? The point is, we don't know that. And we're never going to know it until the day that it happens. And there have been a couple cases already in relation to like firearms and a refrigerator. And there's been drugs being, shipped through different couriers and stuff like that. That makes you understand that the criminal elements and the criminal organizations, if you will, have a much farther reach than all of us think. Like, we're just thinking, oh, blinders on, just our local guys from West Bay, East End, Georgetown, or whatever. Listen, in this day and age, they are making connections with people all over the world. Need I remind you about the one guy? Hold on now. Let me try to remember where oh my gosh. He was the one who was found illegal landing. And he was actually being hidden right here in our country by our own people, by the way. Let me see if I can remember his name now. But again, he was known to the American authorities, had quite an extensive record there. I think he had either killed an American cop or attempted to kill an American cop. And somehow he slid into the Cayman Islands under radar. And he was being assisted by Caymanians right here. And he had started a criminal ring. Hold on one second. Let me tell y'all something. Hold on. I'm going to try to remember. Oh gosh, sometimes when you're trying to remember exactly who, here we go. Yes. Thank the Lord for the half memory. Okay. He was Guyanese. My apologies. I was trying to remember where he was from. Couldn't remember. But here he is. Guyanese man was setting up drug trafficking ring in Cayman. Yep, there it is. One of her own, Michelle Hunter. There she is. She was part of his ring. And he was actually recruiting locals, including several women, to be part of this distribution. Okay? So Wendell Stewart, 35 years old. Whatever happened to him, by the way? Is he still here in jail? They were setting up this extensive criminal, well, he has an extensive criminal record, but he was setting up this extensive drug trafficking ring. And listen, along with drugs comes guns and ammunition and everything else. And he had recruited several women, including this young lady here, Michelle Hunter. She's now back in the Cayman Islands. The Wu-Tang of what's his name there in Windsor Park. But he had her travel to Colombia, Guyana, Jamaica, and Cuba with the intention of coming to Cayman after the Cuban leg of her trip. However, the Cuban authorities detained her for drug trafficking, and she was sentenced to 8 years in Cuba. Now, of course, this was 2020. I can't remember her original sentencing, but the reports are that her family was able to pay off the Cuban authorities to get her to be released significantly earlier than the 8 years. Because I guess anywhere in the world, money talks, right? So they were able to broker a deal to get her to return to this jurisdiction. He's also facing charges in Guyana with his wife. I mean, this dude, he is the real deal when it comes to being a hardcore criminal. So don't think, I mean, he comes in, I guess he pretties himself up or whatever, enters the jurisdiction, and nobody is the wiser in terms of his extensive criminal record inside of the U.S. He was a cop shooter, picked up in Cayman after illegal entry, right? So this one illegally came in, but that doesn't mean that there's others who could not come in legally, and we just don't know their extensive background in other places. So he's a Guyanese national, came into the Cayman Islands via Jamaica, and thankfully CBC somehow got their hands on him and was able to pick him up. But listen to this. He actually arrived on a commercial flight under his own name. Our sources indicated that he traveled to the Bahamas, then Barbados, and then on to Jamaica before entering Cayman. And it seems like he's wanted in his own country of Guyana for serious drug trafficking offenses as well. Let me continue reading, because I think our people sometimes require a reality check about who we're letting into this country, and we don't even know it. So just because they come here talking about they're going to slather on some, sunscreen, and they're here for a vacation, doesn't mean that they're on the up and up. All right? He's described as a dangerous criminal and blood street gang member, was convicted in the United States of America, drug trafficking, carjackings, robberies. In October of 2004, at the age of 19, he opened fire on 3 Newark police officers during a car theft from a moving vehicle. All 3 were shot but survived their injuries. Because he was allegedly working with ICE, they only gave him 3 years probation for the shootings, and he was permitted to remain in the United States of America for another 10 years. So this also speaks to the fact that we can't rely on people like the US or anybody else for that matter to do their due diligence and to do their job, because sometimes their job is tinted by, oh yeah, he's an informant for the authorities, so he keeps getting a slap on the wrist. In 2006, he was indicted on various carjacking charges. Then he shot a 21-year-old man in the chest whilst exiting a New Jersey transit bus in East Orange, New Jersey. And then in 2007, there was a 22-count indictment returned against Stewart for drug trafficking to an undercover police officer. And once again, he was released. I mean, listen, don't come to me talking about America is the best country in the world, because sometimes they let stuff go under radar there that really is shocking and would make your head spin like you were, on the Exorcist cast member or something. This is just ridiculous. Then in 2008, he was booked for brutally assaulting a police officer in possession of a 9mm Colt semi-automatic handgun, 16 rounds of live 9mm ammo, including a hollow point bullet in the chamber. Whilst incarcerated, he was also indicted for obtaining a cell phone in prison and making threats from his cell phone, from his prison cell. He's believed to have been involved in several murders, and he's acted as an informant for the New York FBI branch to assist with the rest of Blood's gang members. And guess what? It was discovered that he was falsely informing on others, so he wasn't even giving them legit information. So eventually, he was deported back to Guyana, and then he's sitting there looking at his little map, honey child, thinking, all right, where is the best place for me to go next to carry out and to set up a criminal enterprise? And guess what? He picked the Cayman Islands. You know why he would have picked us? Because it's easy peasy lemon squeezy to come here and hook up with our own Caymanian idiots to get them into drug trafficking and all sorts of stuff and hiding him in the core of our districts. Like, seriously, this is what is going on in this country. Our people working with criminals like this. So don't think for 1 minute, as the caller said, oh, they're just a tourist. Yeah, okay. Till the day comes when we put the connections together and find out that that person who's just a tourist is also a member of some meth gang in the States or whatever. I'm just saying, let's not be too naive about what the possibilities are. Because once it happens, it's too late then, you know? So somebody says he's still in Northward. He was the one that they beat up some months ago there. Oh, okay. I wonder what was the sentencing that he got? I have to look him up because I haven't really heard how long we're going to keep him here in our country. But again, this is our own people. Caymanians. Recruiting each other, recruiting women to be part of his criminal enterprise and others. Unbelievable. So there you have it. Let's read some of your comments. One person said, in most of these cases, the ammunition is found when they're leaving the country, so one can form the opinion that they met nothing sinister. They can be classed as exceptional. Well, that's not exceptional in my opinion. I mean, I don't know what you'd consider exceptional, but I have seen judges turn down some stories that they said were not exceptional. And so they're setting the perimeters to what exceptional is. Exceptional is not, that, oops, you're just discovering it now kind of thing. That's not exceptional. So let me try to find out where we are with him. And maybe he got a sentence that we haven't updated a story on. So we'll try to get that updated. All right. This person says, OMG, never stopping. We can't take food into the US, but they can bring drugs and guns and other stuff here. Shaking my head. Right? This individual listener says, Americans are very entitled and feel that they rule the world. Lord, dear God. Okay, ranting now, repeating. As saying one caller was repeating themselves. Good God, these long-winded people. Thank you, sir. The memorial service of the 80th anniversary of D-Day this morning was very reminding for a person who was only 6 years old. Let me just see what other comments. This person said, so what we need to do is on our island promoting tourism website, we need to publish a checklist of do not bring into our islands. When planning your trip to the Cayman Islands, please do not bring the following: guns, bullets, marijuana, etc. If found in possession of these items, you will be prosecuted. Not a bad idea to remind people. I can tell you last year when we were going into Greece, we were shocked at how many times on the announcement, and this was in Newark Airport, how many times on the announcement we heard about firearms. If you have firearms in your luggage or on your person, announce it now. And they played it over and over again to the point where Marlon was like, is this a problem for Greece? Like it was very, very persistent. And so perhaps we need to do that over the loudspeakers in our departure lounges and areas as well. And maybe at the check-in counter, our Cayman Airways staff, every time they hand somebody back their passport and their boarding pass, they also could give them a little sheet of paper. Read this. Just saying. All right. Let's read some of the comments on the live stream. Good morning, Felipe. Dee says next question should be, how many people that were extradited from other countries have now ended up on our shores? I mean, you've got to be so careful, folks, because not just extradition concerns, but we also know for a fact that the Caribbean as a whole is seen as a very, very easy jurisdiction to get into as it relates to, sex trafficking, traffic offenses against sexual offenses against children and so on, because our legislation tends to be very, very disjointed. And there is listen, if we had any degree of sense at all, we would be sharing not just a sex registry within the Cayman Islands, but we would ensure that there was a Caribbean-wide one that we could easily access and share amongst each other. Because these people, it's the same reason why countries like Thailand and certain Asian countries are very, very easy and for sexual predators to get into and set up shop. The Caribbean is also no exception. We saw a case the other day in Honduras where several Americans were arrested for having a ring there of underage, pornography and underage sex with girls and stuff like that, and boys. So pretty wild right there in the Bay Islands. So Evelyn says, but I thought all systems were linked. If not, the need to have a cloud with information of wrongdoers. I mean, they're not linked in that way. You have to look for it. So your policing arms need to be on the ball. And I have said this before, and I'm going to say it again. When it comes to modern technology and the resources that we have available to us, it's better now than ever before. Remember the story just about a month and a half ago that I was researching with this guy who was convicted here in Cayman for drug trafficking, drug importation. And we talked about this, and I said how it was so interesting and so shocking that I could do a quick search for, less than 5 minutes for sure. And I could see that this guy actually had a record in another country for drug importation. And here his defense attorney is standing up saying that, he doesn't have a record. So, because you get credit for being a person of what they call good character because you don't have a record. And the prosecution's agreeing with him. Oh, yeah, he doesn't have a record. And so after they were finished with their arguments, I said, excuse me, are we talking about this same dude? Because literally after 5 minutes of research, I found that he had a record for doing almost the exact same thing. The only difference here is he brought it in by boat into our jurisdiction. And I think it was Guyana. He took it there, him and his girlfriend at the time, actually took it on the plane. So here's a man who has a record from years ago of drug trafficking in the region, in the Caribbean, doing the exact same thing now to the people of the Cayman Islands. He's done it to Guyana. And yet our prosecutor is sitting there, unbeknownst to him, that this has already been done. I mean, it is shocking that they do not prepare for court. They don't look up cases. They just take, if the defense attorney says this, they just take their word for it, and that's that. I mean, there is unreal, unbelievable. Yep, and that just happened. I'm trying to see if I can find the case now to refresh my memory, but that just happened the other day. So they're putting forth information to the court that is actually completely inaccurate. Mm-hmm. Yep. And not only inaccurate, but gets this guy less of a sentence, because he's a person of good character when he was not. He already had a conviction for the exact same thing, previous conviction. Mm-hmm. Ay. Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Here we go. March of 2024. This was Benjamin Isaiah Carrington, age 37, 10 years ago. He was stopped for importing 60 pounds of marijuana at the Chetty Jagan International Airport in Guyana. On the court list, they had his name misspelled. And so when I was looking him up and I said, he has a very, I mean, it's, you know, in this day and age, you find a lot of people share names, like similar names or whatever. But when I saw his name, I thought to myself, oh, this is interesting. Because Carrington, Benjamin, you know, I guess a lot of people might be named Benjamin, but Benjamin Isaiah Carrington isn't quite, you know, familiar combination. But of course, they had the Isaiah spelled differently. So I queried it, and then they said, well, the court staff only put on it what the police give them. So the police documentation would have gotten his name wrong, like when they, you know, checked him in and whatever. Now, keep in mind, he illegally landed as well. So they would have had to have gone through a process of verifying his identity. So they actually have his middle name misspelled, but nonetheless, I found him quite easy. The date of birth and the age, everything else matched. And so come to find out, this dude is actually a professional drug mule who was convicted some 10 years ago for similar offenses in Guyana. And our prosecution is standing up, agreeing with the defense that the man has no previous convictions. My God, this is 2024, folks. Google is our friend. Use it to search, because if they had bothered to look him up, that means that they're not, to Irvlin's point, they're not checking with any other, you know, policing agencies in the Caribbean, because if they were, he should have been easy to find. And the guy was really big on, like, he had it well organized. He even had a sale for parts of the drugs before he even landed in Cayman. He was contacting people here, again, going back to this point, that criminals are using technology. They're in contact with each other. He made his drug sales before even landing foot in this country. Right? And this is what's happening with our people. And everybody seems to be so ill-informed. I'm going to give you guys another example, because we're going to bring this home as well this morning. But listen to this situation. Yeah? All right. Remember the Tortuga robbery, right? And we're going to talk about her husband now, who's also in court. And this was Eve High Voltage. Her real name is Kaznique Cupid. There was actually 3 individuals involved in that robbery. And so the only 2 that were ever charged would have been Kaznique Eve High Voltage and her co-accused, which was Mr. Nash, right? So they both got convicted and they're both serving time. There was a third guy that the police have not ever publicly identified. I want y'all to listen carefully to how this story goes. He was never charged. Do y'all know why he was never charged? The police picked up someone in Cayman, illegal landing, and this is why we need to take these things very, very seriously. And I want to address something I think it was last week's show, when we were talking about these marriages of convenience, because I saw on Facebook where one of our own Caymanians who now lives abroad in the UK was saying, oh, we have more important things to worry about than these marriages of convenience. Who cares? Every marriage is a marriage of convenience. You know, for lack of knowledge, our people are going to perish. And I'm telling you that the people of the Cayman Islands are woefully informed, and they care. They don't want to care about certain things. Oh, I don't care about marriages of convenience. They can break that law. It doesn't matter. They don't understand how things are so incredibly interconnected. And so it is shocking when you allow people to break your laws, right? Oh, well, I don't care about that. Right, because now that person has been permitted, just going back to the marriage of convenience, to be here in the Cayman Islands. Now they're importing fentanyl. If you are a legit person with skills, good character, and all these other things, trust me, you will have no issues whatsoever finding a job and being able to get a work permit and going through all the steps, including clearing police records and all of those hurdles that are put in place as safeguarding measures. You only have to try to circumvent and finagle the system when there's something about you that isn't adding up. No decent person, I'm sorry, this is a position I'm going to take. No decent person has to engage in a marriage of convenience. If you can't find no Caymanian woman to love, then just leave them alone. You don't need to be in this country. You can get a work permit and you can stay here and work your time and be happy and go on with your life. So the very fact that there are people who will engage in these marriages of convenience, in my opinion, questions their entire character. Why would you need to do that? Kaboom! Dominique says, give yourself a kaboom. Okay? Y'all need to think carefully about these things. So, Nikki, I saw your comments about who cares about these marriages of convenience. I saw a lot of people liking your comment, and I was actually flabbergasted. People say they're intelligent, they're smart, but they're not thinking very deep about any of these things. Okay. Let's talk about this case, right? The third guy was picked up by police for illegally landing. CBC. So normally what CBC will do is they pick him up and illegal landing. They do their cursory research. And if they don't find anything, they try to quickly get them to court and get them out of this country. You're an illegal lander. We don't want you here. We don't want you taking up space in our prisons. You got to go. What the police didn't realize until after he was deported by CBC is that this guy was the third guy in the armed robbery. They didn't put it together until after he was already deported. You know, they have these phone records and they allow them to make certain connections and whatever, but it was already too late. He was gone from the jurisdiction. Now, he has no conviction here. He's not been put to trial. He's not been found guilty. So, y'all better be careful. He's going to be coming in as a tourist. He's going to be circumventing, going through some other country to get back here, or coming in as an illegal lander yet again and committing more offenses. Mm-hmm. It's not the only time that it has happened where someone has slipped through our fingers and left the jurisdiction before the authorities were able to make the connection that, oh my gosh, this person's actually wanted for a criminal offense. And people know, they know how to work the system. Right? They'll jump in a plane. I think one of the murders in poor Estella's case did the exact same thing with Estella Scott Roberts. When the heat, you're feeling the heat, jump in a plane and go back to Jamaica. When they thought everything was kosher and all had calmed down, okay, now we're free to go back to Cayman and continue working as a gardener in somebody's yard. Don't put nothing past criminals. They will do things that will shock you, including marrying people in your own country. What a hot mess. Ms. Brenda says lack of knowledge is the biggest problem we have. That plays out every day. And when one person with a little knowledge dares to voice anything, then the ignorant get bored. Sad. Symphony of the Seas says more than likely with a new name, new skin color, new hairstyle, and new claim gender. Well, if he's a Jamaican, he's probably not going to change his gender, but he will definitely do all the other things. So new name, yes, new passport, new hairstyle, and a little bit of bleaching cream goes a long way, apparently. What a mess. Denver says 100,000 residents will give us 10,000 criminals. Symphony says hearing that from someone means they have the same intentions and don't even know it, and they easily play victim, especially when they get in trouble. Yes. So people have to be vigilant, Irvlin, I think is really the point. Live Happy says that illegal people are already living here and people know it. Look at the man they found out 10 years of living here, driving around and all that, without a doubt. Rennie says TSA is slack. TSA has that big signs about fines for bringing firearms before TSA. These people are careless, if you ask me. I'm sure they travel often, and no traveling with ammunition and firearm is against the law in other countries. If they're careless with leaving ammunition in their luggage, that goes to show you that they leave other prohibited items in their luggage, which is an aviation risk. So Damien said, so TNT and all Caribbean countries should have shared that information. And in fact, I'm going to go now. This is going to sound wild to some of y'all. Y'all like, oh my God, Sandy's getting radical on us. But I'm going to go one step further. The other thing that we need to do is, say, for example, this guy now, he has been talking about the guy in TCI. He has been, fined and gotten a suspended sentence in that jurisdiction. The next time he travels, undoubtedly, he can't go back to TCI. So he's going to be trying to come to Cayman. The Cayman Islands, I don't know who it's going to be. CBC needs to put a stop order on him as well. Like, I'm sorry, sir. You screwed up like this and you caused all this havoc, and the poor people of TCI made your so-called representatives go down there trying to pressure those people. Oh, well, we're American, so, let's send some representatives down. You can't lock up our people for breaking the law. Really? All that went down. U.S. lawmakers want TCI to release Americans arrested for ammo. See, they're putting pressure. They should have a standing, persona non grata all over the Caribbean. That man should not be able to set foot in Jamaica, Cayman, not even Honduras. The Caribbean needs to come together and stop people like this now from feeling like, oh, well, I got off with a little slap on the wrist. Can't go back to TCI, but guess what? Cayman is next on my travel vacation list. Oh, no, you don't, honey chow. Let's get it together now. Let's collectively, handle some of these criminals. A conviction in any jurisdiction in the region for this type of offense means you are slacking, like Live Happy says, you just don't care. Johan says, white privilege is real. If a West Indian or person of color, Jamaican, Haitian, Honduran, Cuban, etc., lands and came up with a gun or ammunition, there'll be no slap on the wrist and the consequences would be severe. Hashtag just saying. And I'm going to have to agree with Johan on this. I've never seen, it is interesting, but every single person, I stand to be corrected, but to my recollection, I've never seen an American person of color come to this jurisdiction with firearms and this sort of thing yet. I'm still waiting. They may be coming next on the next plane now that they've heard us, but I haven't seen them yet. It's always our Caucasian friends that are doing it. Now, does that mean that they're just, that they own more firearms than the U.S. and their black counterparts? Or they just are black Americans checking luggage more? Like, I don't understand how to explain this, but I've never seen it. But again, if you can recall such a case, by all means, jog my memory. These little country bumpkins got to get it together now. And country bumpkins run the gamut. You got black people that are country bumpkins too. Remember, they're out there doing their little country dance, their little, what's it called? The two-step. All right. So let's talk about a few court cases here. Johan, your stepbrother is a hot mess. Oh my God. I'm trying not to talk about him, but he really makes it difficult. Luigi, Mario and Luigi. Luigi's in trouble again. So Luigi was supposed to be sentenced last week, and he wasn't sentenced. Oh, we got a caller. Hold on one second here. Oh, good morning, caller.
Morning, Sandy. Everything okay?
My dear.
Sorry, you're pretty hot this morning.
Yep. I'm good.
Keep
How
it
are
real.
you?
It's true. It's the reality. What I'm checking to find, can anybody give us an update on the gentleman that brought in the 3 guns? I don't know who he thought he was or what he are, that he can bring 3 guns into Cayman. I
Mhm.
mean, and waiting on it, and he didn't even wait for the documents to be cleared, see if he was going to accept it. He came in with the 3 guns.
He got
What
away
is the check?
free and clear
So what happened to
because
the guns? So what happened to the guns?
so the police still have the guns, and they will not be, according to them, releasing it unless I guess he has proper paperwork, which he hasn't done that. So they will keep the guns. In fact, they should destroy the guns. I don't know what they're keeping the guns for. In my opinion, they should destroy them.
Well, all like him should have been a great example. He should be one that should be deported out of Cayman because he want to come and live in Cayman with 3 guns. Why does he need any guns in Cayman?
Well,
I mean, all like him is a
the
great
bigger
example.
question is there's a much larger issue here. Is apparently he found a loophole in the firearm legislation that allowed him to bring it in as long as at the time of entry, at the post of entry when he came in, he was the one who actually told CBC that I had firearms on me. And so in the legislation that allows him to not, that's why he got away scot-free.
Yeah,
I mean, they confiscated the guns because they still, obviously were not approved to come in, but we can't. I mean, it's a bit of a situation law that our legislators need to fix. While they're busy trying to spend and waste their money, these are the types of things that they should be trying to fix, and they should fix it very, very quickly because this is undoubtedly a loophole. And we should
have fixed that the next day.
Exactly.
That should have been fixed the day.
Because the problem is we basically have multiple pieces of legislation that don't jive with each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one piece says, oh, you have to go through the RCIPS and get approval, blah, blah, blah. And then this other one is like, oh, but if you come in and you have it on you and you realize, I guess, oh yeah, I've got which he would have known. He packed it on purpose because he made inquiries beforehand, right? And they told him what the procedure was. He didn't follow those procedures. Instead, he showed up at the port of entry and said, oh, yes, I'm now declaring that I have these guns on me.
But that's why we should have refused him entry there. When we found out all that, he should have been refused entry and be put on the next flight back out and be deported because he should not be. See, there are ones now that we're going to give citizens, residents, to become one of our citizens. Why does he need 3 guns in the Cayman Islands?
And keep in mind that he is part of the economic zone, so he's there, and of course, able to get all sorts of access now to resources and all sorts of stuff. It's interesting because I don't know exactly how the economic zone does this, but I would have thought that they would have had some sort of discretionary power where, I guess because he hasn't legally done anything wrong, they couldn't do it. I mean, this is, it's crazy, but I would have thought that they would have said, you know what, you've already caused enough problems here. You're not really the caliber of individual that we even want in the economic zone. And so they should not, they should not now be allowing him access to the economic zone, which comes with a lot of benefits. He does not even have to advertise for a work permit and all that kind of stuff.
Well, if you go by his appearance, it doesn't seem that he was coming for it. In my opinion, anything good. I mean, why do we need 3 guns? I mean, we got a lot of higher officials, in my opinion, that are just as, I don't know what his position is, that doesn't even have access to a gun because it's illegal. And I mean, you have to get a license to get a gun. So it's not something that you can wake up tomorrow morning, be the MP, and say, oh, I need a gun tomorrow morning. So what makes him so special?
Yeah, it's a mess.
But my opinion, I think they were. In my opinion, I think they were for sale. But I might be wrong. But I mean, and not bringing 1 gun, but you're bringing 3 guns. You can only shoot 1 gun at a time, or you're on a reeler, or you on a hit. You were being a hitman, in my opinion.
Thank you, my dear. Does beg a lot of questions.
Okay,
thank you so much. This person says there's no biometrics anywhere except on time clocks. And the person's asking, they've sent a document here about the information security audit of the Royal Montserrat Police Service Overseas Territories Regional Crime Intelligence System. And they said, whatever happened to this? I'll have to review that. Thank you so much. Another person said, really exceptional. They might have come with a few dozen bullets or one or two got left in the luggage, but some resident got the rest. And what do we say there? If it's not his step brother, but it is his half brother. Oh, my apologies, Luigi. Yes. Okay, let's get to Luigi. And then they go on to say that Charlie Kirkernel would keep anyone in that case. Well, Charlie Kirkernel would keep anyone in that because it's making him make money. Oh, Lord have mercy. What a mess. All right. So let's talk about Luigi. He was supposed to be sentenced last week. He was kind of pissing off the magistrate last week, I got to tell you the truth, because he, again, does not understand the concept of accountability. One of our own, not falling on the sword like he should. So he told his lawyer to basically instruct the court that on the charge of, let me look him up now, because he was supposed to be sentenced again yesterday, and it still didn't happen because Luigi has discovered the fine art of frustrating the court. Hold on one second. So, let me see now. He was in court for, oh my gosh. Anyway, they're looking to sentence him now. So I understand that he's paid the money that was owed to the lady, but he still has to be sentenced for, basically not showing up in court and the other offenses as well, because they have him down for the money thing. So looks like they're going to tag on some stuff for that. Let me just find the cause list from yesterday. Hold on one second. So anyway, he showed up last week before Magistrate McFarland, basically through his lawyer, indicated that he, despite the fact that he was supposed to be sentenced, that he was not going to be sentenced last week because he thinks that he has some sort of a defense around this. And the magistrate was like, what? She said, basically, you're getting on my last nerve. And do you understand and appreciate that this is an unnecessary delay? What is it that you're going to say to the court about why you didn't show up to court on multiple occasions? There is no excuse. It's almost like one of those things where it is a strict liability situation. The court isn't interested in excuses at this point in time. I don't know if Luigi doesn't understand or if he doesn't care. I would have to guess that it's the latter, because he's not stupid, he's no fool, and there's nothing really complicated about this. So the magistrate, I'll have to look at my notes, but she was like, why are you delaying this? You do understand that you're delaying the inevitable, and now you're wasting the court's time on top of it. He doesn't care about wasting the court's time, you see? So yesterday now, he was supposed to appear before another magistrate. And my understanding is that he has actually fired his lawyer. So he fired, the lawyer found out yesterday, he has fired Mr. Furness, and he's hired someone from Ben Toner's law firm, Mr. Burke. Now this is interesting, because Luigi will also sit down and cry foul that he, is a small business owner, struggling like the rest of us, has his hustle on, blah, blah, blah. But quite frankly, it does make me wonder, the man is penny wise and pound foolish, right? Now, as long as Mr. Furness has been a lawyer and he's been in business, he takes a lot of clients who are at the bottom of the financial pole, who normally get legal aid and so on. I don't think his rates are extremely exorbitant or expensive. Ben Toner's law firm, on the other hand, they're going to charge you a premium. In a situation like this, it don't make no sense to pay top dollar for a lawyer. There's absolutely nothing that Mr. Burke, as qualified as he might be, as experienced as he might be, there's nothing that he is going to be able to say to the court that is going to help Luigi's case one way or the other. And I think that that's probably where Luigi is. Many times as he's been to court by now, he should start to be a little bit more savvy and a bit more of an expert with these things. But unfortunately, this is where he lacks understanding. So he was supposed to be sentenced yesterday. Let me see who he was in front of. It wasn't McFarland because she was actually doing mental health court, which is a whole other situation. So I want to say that it was before Magistrate Gunn. Let me just confirm for you. Yes. So he has 3 things: failing to surrender to custody, failing to pay wages, and failing to pay earned vacation leave. And he's supposed to be sentenced yesterday for that. Sentence and put off yet again because he's fired his lawyer and now hired him a new one. You need to have listened to what was said last week by the magistrate. You didn't understand her, and you didn't pick up on her tone of voice and precisely what she was saying, Luigi. She told you, you are wasting the court's time. She said to your existing lawyer, what are you doing? In other words, because he's just following the instructions of his client. Because he said, oh, my client wants me to contact the registry to prove that somebody told him, that he must check with them. And she was just like, really, dude? Are you serious? Because everybody and their dog knows that when you go to court and you get your next date set for when you're supposed to show up, you are physically there yourself. You can't blame your lawyer for not telling you. You are physically there. Some of them go as far as some of the magistrates go as far as giving you a little note card or a post-it note with the next time you're supposed to show up. You need to pay attention when you're sitting there. And they tell you come back on such and such a date. So his position of blaming his lawyer is absolutely ridiculous. Johan says he should hire Auntie Sandy as his attorney. Sandra Hill QC has spoken. Nope. I would never represent someone as ignorant as your brother. Sorry to tell you, but not sorry. He's the kind of person that lawyers really don't want as a client. I'm going to be honest with you. Because he's wasting the court's time and he's a pain in everybody's backside. Now you've delayed it by at least 2 weeks. It's going to be some other excuse next week. The outcome is going to be the same. And all you're doing is wasting more court time. You don't think the courts have other things that they could be focusing on? They need to wrap up this case. Let's move on. Let him continue. I mean, it says a lot about him and the type of person he is. All right, see what what Johan says here. CMR has got much bigger fish to fry than Uncle Ouija. Hashtag bad mind run Cayman. Poor you. Again, going back to the point, which I will make, that our people seem to not understand the necessity to follow all the laws of the country. Traffic laws, employment and labor laws, all of these things matter. Wasting the court's time is wasting the court's time regardless. If we had more important things to worry about, then Luigi should just do what he needs to do. Admit he was wrong and move on. Why is this dude continuing to act the fool? By the way, not for nothing, but since we're talking about Ouija this morning, let me tell you that his victim actually reached out to me last week when they thought he was going to get sentenced. Hold on. Since we want to demonstrate his position, yes, let's put it all out there. Because, sometimes we probably give people a little bit of a pass and we don't do such a full job of explaining how their behaviors, although they think it's nothing, really impacts people's lives in quite a way. Okay? Let's have a look at this correspondence. The person reached out last week. I don't know who this person is, but I will share with you exactly what it was that they had to say. So workplace harassment and, these types of things are very, very important. And so whether you work in a restaurant or not, no exception to be made. So this person said, good morning, Miss Sandy. I hope you're well. I just sent the links to your CMR article. I was just sent the link, sorry, to your CMR article and your video related to Luigi Moxham's arrest warrant. I'm the person who filed the complaint, and it's a deep relief that justice has eventually been served. It was never about the money owed, but more about the principle. I wanted to express my gratitude to you for covering this topic and keeping me anonymous. I'm grateful for God's justice, for the court decision, and for the DLP's assistance. It somehow compensates the trouble I underwent during the last unfortunate experience in Cayman. I committed rookie mistakes indeed, and trusting someone who was actually more an acquaintance than a friend and turned out to be a full-on bully. I had to keep my statement with the DLP to a strict minimum, but there was way more to this story, such as how people previously gave up on helping him with bookkeeping because of the huge amounts of receipts backlogged since 2021, how he blackmails, threatens, etc. I really feel sorry for my former colleagues who were paid late all the time until I arrived. For the ones who are blackmailed into staying in an abusive environment because they have families to support in Cayman or back home and won't speak up because of the, I don't know what this word is, because of the Damocles sword of deportation. Whose sword is that? Is that like a Greek god or something? Hold on. Let me look up. This is one that I'm unfamiliar with. Yes, Damocles flourished in the 4th century BCE, was a courier in Sicily, tyrant from 405 to 367 BCE. There you go. Never even heard of, is it pronounced Damocles? Is that how it's pronounced? Okay, new word for me. Sword of deportation. Luigi also threatened to report me to WRC because I stood up to him. I stood up for myself in order to have me banned from Cayman. He always brags that he is connected to people in high places, and he will use those connections to ban whoever he wants from the island because he already did it. From an inside perspective, the hard worker is his wife, Christina, not him. I have seen this woman being so ubiquitous and efficient, but unfortunately under his boot. What a mess. While I was there, my colleagues told me about a former staff who had already passed away from stress, Prashant, or about a Latin American lady who refused his behavior and got sacked off of the island, and why they promptly left to work for the Hive to escape the madness. Bottom line, I'm grateful and more trusting in the Caymanian justice system. Have a wonderful day. You can call this, minor, and that we have more important things to focus on, but Johan says it's a slow news day. Imagine. When you are an employee and you have to work with people like this, trust me. Aliano says, everything Aguan, you better than me. I would not care if Sandy is roasting my family because y'all know better. Don't mess around or find out. Ms. Brenda says, blood is thicker than mud, right or wrong. I don't know the details, so I'm not commenting on this issue. Well, the details are all in the article, Ms. Brenda. Go read it for yourself. Aliano says, no brownies for life. Johan will keep getting brownies. I'm not paying Johan one bit of mine because Johan he understands fully the position here on this platform. No matter who you is. Family, friend, foe, not family, it don't matter. We all have to abide by the laws of the country, and we all have to be held accountable at some level. And this lack of accountability is what has put this country in the position that it is now. And people, I can't believe that people actually go around still saying, oh, don't you know who I am? I'm connected to people. I know people. I am flabbergasted that people actually allow these things to escape from their mouths in 2024. It's bad enough if you're actually doing it. But to vocalize it and to still say it, really, really makes me understand that you guys have no clue what time it is and how this country has been entrenched in so much corruption for so long, because there was a time that it did matter who you were and you got a different kind of justice. And you could pick up a phone to whether it was CBC or WORC and make things disappear. No more. This person says, Johan made a comment earlier that laws must be applied consistently for all that break the laws, especially when it comes to drugs and guns. Yet I see him now making comments like hashtag free Uncle Ouija and free to fight the power. Is that the same man who plans to run again? Far too juvenile in his behavior, says this person. Next person says Luigi best realize that he doesn't have Trump money for our followers. And even President Trump has still been held accountable by the system, guilty in all 34 counts. And what is so funny about that, one of these days we're going to have a little bit of a conversation, is I find it interesting that his first thing is like, oh, I've been wrong. The system is rigged. The system has never been rigged against white, rich men. Trust me. The system is rigged in your favor, not against you, Trump. And it's so shocking to me the number of people that will sit down, not have any of those things. They're not white. They're not rich. They're not even American sometimes, because Caymanians sit here defending Trump like fools. And they want to talk about, yeah, the system's rigged against Trump. No, it's not. He had access to the best lawyers that money could buy. That is access that you and I will never have in our lifetime, folks. Get real. And a jury of his own peers still found him guilty as charged. Former president, thank you. Same thing with Joe Biden's son. His trial, I think, is starting here shortly. And I'm sure he will be found guilty. Hold everybody accountable. All right, keep it moving. I'm not showing up to court is tantamount to the dog ate my homework excuse, shaking my head. What a hot mess. I tell you. Okay. Oh, good morning, caller.
Good morning, Arthur. How you doing?
Morning. Today? Not bad. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad myself. You had ever get an answer for that case that you were digging up with that person that were getting time from cabinet? You
know what? I need to follow up on that. Let me see if I can find out if they still giving her time.
Because that's the same thing now that is going on. We got authorities that participating in the corruption. So how anything can get done about it? And another law what I got changed to is that law that people on permit could get married. That's one of the laws that got changed. I know it wasn't like that a couple of years ago, but that is the most I don't know insane thing that I've ever heard. Somebody come to your country on a permit and they're allowed to get married right in the country. That years ago they would have had to leave the country and all that kind of stuff. But now they could get married overnight. If they're on a permit, they could just pick up and get married overnight and stay and become a citizen. The process would start for them to becoming a citizen. So that's part of the marriage.
When did that change? What did it used to be?
It used to be that they couldn't marry. I know that for a fact because in several cases that came up a couple of years ago. Yeah, so I think that was. I mean, I don't want to speak out of place, but I think that was during PPM over the last term that they changed that.
No.
Could be wrong.
No. That's. I mean, as far as I know, I stand to be corrected, but at least in the last 30 years, you've been able to marry if you were here on a work permit. There's no restrictions. So if it was ever the case before that, I'd like to know when it changed, but it wasn't any time recent. That's for sure. I'll get some. No. It was that you couldn't be a visitor. You couldn't be a visitor and get a permit while visiting. But let me find out if that was ever the case. I'm not aware that it was ever the case, but it definitely hasn't been in the last 30 years.
That's news to me. I thought that it was always that you couldn't get married on the island. You could get married as a individual, but you would have to leave the island and get married to someone else.
No. That's definitely correct. Not since I've been in Cayman.
Something that is stupid. Okay, well, that is something that is stupid. However long it has been in place, because somebody is coming to your country. So how would they in their thoughts of protecting a country and protecting this thing of marriage convenience, what was the thought process behind that these people could marry on a work permit when they come in? What you got to do, check out, see if that could happen in another country. If it just unique to Cayman, because that's part of it that is falling apart.
I mean, it happens in most countries in the world where you can get married, even if you're whatever your status is. I don't think the only thing that tends to prevent you from not being able to get married is if you're married to somebody else, and if you're underage and stuff like that. So even in the U.S., if you are
on a work
permit, yeah, you can get married to an American.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Yeah, you can get married to an American and be a visitor even.
Well, I understand being a visitor, not because you're visiting the country, but someone on a work permit is something different, is what I'm talking about. Yeah, well, they're the kind of laws that make the world.
Okay, so I have confirmed that has never been the case. There was never anything in place that prevented you from getting married while you're in a permit.
Okay, well, I got that from a government official, so maybe they themselves didn't know that was the situation.
Is that government official an elected member or a civil servant?
No, just a civil servant. Yes, civil servant. So yeah, they probably wasn't aware of the law itself.
Well, it's never been the case. I don't know where they would have gotten that from. So very interesting.
Yeah.
All right, caller. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the kind of laws that hinder in the world from moving forward and all these kind of problems that come out of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thanks very much. All right, my dear. I see some of the comments. Somebody said, Mark Henry says, God bless Mr. Trump. Do you remember Bill Clinton got away with the same thing? Not at all, actually. The two cases are not similar in any way, shape, or form. And what Bill Clinton did was not falsify business documents. That's a very different type of thing. And there was never a criminal case against Bill Clinton. He was put up for impeachment, and he did not face 34, my apologies, charges of anything before a jury of his peers. You see, this is where we got to make sure we get things straight. So Faded Mary Jean says Clinton got away with getting his you-know-what sucked in the Oval Office under the desk. No comparison. Strong Will says, hi, Sandy. What about visitors coming to Cayman and getting married? I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, like I said, there are things that can prevent you from getting married, but that is the type of thing that doesn't. So I've confirmed that has never been the law. This very well-informed case says there was a time when a person married to Caymanian continued to get work permits with no fee. Now they get PR. And that was probably quite some time ago. So there was never anything preventing someone from being in a work permit to get married. All right. Strong Wilt says, Sandy, we want to hear about Cupid. All right. Thank you, Strong Wilt. Appreciate it. Let's move on. Okay. So we have a case here. This person says, please keep this anonymous, but the biggest problem we face as marriage officers is people here on 3-month temporary work permits coming in to get married to Caymanians. They have only known for 2 minutes. And that shouldn't be allowed for sure. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for the observation. All right, let's move on. So in traffic court yesterday, we don't go to traffic court a lot, but sometimes we sit in traffic court. And let me tell you all something. We got a big problem in this country. It is no wonder that we have constant traffic accidents. The day before, funny enough, somebody called me and they said, Sandy, I need to talk to you about how people in this country are getting licenses. Young man was a Jamaican fella. He says he don't want to get in the mix-up. He don't want to be identified. But he's like, Sandy, I witnessed a lady who obviously could not park to save her life after she did her driving test and she came back in. She couldn't even park the vehicle. And he said, I'm flabbergasted and shocked that she actually got her driver's license after demonstrating that she can't even park. I'm like, Lord Jehovah, what are you saying? This is the problem, folks, that we are having in this country. At the time of getting her license with the driving inspector, she couldn't park the vehicle. And somebody still turned around and handed her a driver's license to walk out and drive on our streets. So not only do we have people who, let me get my little black book. By the way, I got to find some friends in the DART organization. Oh, Ben Mead is over there now. I need some more of your little books, Ben. I'm going to beg a shameless favor here. I like these little notebooks for court because I'll be making, look at me, I'll be writing down all kind of stuff. Got all my little notes and stuff in here. This one got wet yesterday, so you can see it started to run my ink a little bit. But it has a little divider thing, which is so nice. And this somebody gave me this years ago from DART. I think I got a couple of them. But I like these notebooks. Can I please get some more? If you guys are still ordering them, I'll take 3 more. Thank you. All right. So look here now. These are my notes on, what's his name? Markel Cupid. Poor Markel. What a thing. I feel sorry for this young man, but the magistrate yesterday was like, listen, son, you are 32 years old and nobody not playing with you anymore. I can talk about 2 traffic cases that really stood out. Listen, traffic court is so busy. Hold on. Let me show you all the cause list for traffic. And then that will help you to understand why we are in a predicament in this country. People are speeding on our roadways. They are driving like a bat out of hell. They are careless driving. They are drinking and driving. They're driving while disqualified. I mean, it is ridiculous what is happening in this country. This was yesterday's list with acting magistrate Miss Bothwell. Look at this list. You got some up for case management hearing, traffic mentions, sentencing. All these now were being sentenced yesterday, and then trials. Look at the list. My God. It is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So, yes, racing. Siobhan says they be racing too. It just blows my mind. So, let's talk about Mr. Cupid. Markel Antonio Cupid showed up in court yesterday using a vehicle with an expired registration, driving without insurance, driving while disqualified, using a vehicle without a certificate of roadworthiness. My God, son, what on earth? So it's obvious that he don't care, okay? I was flabbergasted to learn. And I shouldn't have been because it came up in his wife's trial. Remember, now she's a Tortuga robber. It did come up in her trial where they were asking her, the detectives were saying to her, who else could have been driving this vehicle, this family car? Could it have been your husband? And she said, no, he doesn't drive because he doesn't have a license. Well, she lied about a lot. And apparently she lied about that as well. The man don't drive? No. The one correct thing she said is that he doesn't have a license. That don't mean that he's not driving. This man is 32 or 34. What did they say? 32 years old. And he has been driving his entire life, I suppose, like nobody's business. And he has never had a driver's license. The magistrate was like, say what? son, you've not, this is what the magistrate said. Because they were talking about you're driving without insurance. You know how dangerous that is? Every month we have Recover on here that talks about the dangers that people put you in when they cause an accident, and then you find out that either they don't have insurance or they have been disqualified, or their insurance company is going to fight the case because they're like, oh, they were drinking and driving, so therefore we're going to refuse to try to pay for your stuff. Right? This is very, very serious. You don't have insurance, you get in an accident, you kill somebody or dismember someone. How is that person and their family going to live? But there are people like this who do not care about other people. They are reckless beyond. And unfortunately, this young man is one of them. Right? The judge said, but hold on a second. Because his lawyer said, madam, I've tried explaining to him that no insurance, he's a hazard to the public. The magistrate said not only that, more importantly, more concerning, is that the man has never had a driver's license. So he's never been put to any kind of test, any kind of standards about whether or not he even knows the road rules. And this man gets behind the wheel of a car every single day and drives up and down the roads of the Cayman Islands. And the other thing that the court found shocking, apparently, from the SIR report, because, they do these SIR reports to try to figure out what's going on in the heads of these people, what their circumstances are, and then they provide that to the court. Social inquiry reports. Apparently his attitude, he's actually said it to them, even said it to his lawyer. He said, it's not like I'm driving for no reason. So in other words, because I have a reason to drive, then this is an excuse why I can ignore all of the road rules. Car not registered, because of course, I guess the wife used to do the registration in her name or whatever. She's in jail. So car is not registered. Car has no insurance. All of these things. And the man not business with none of it. No roadworthiness certificate, no nothing. And he does not care. So the magistrate did not mince her words yesterday. He was supposed to get sentenced yesterday. And when she saw that he had 16 previous convictions. And this is the 6th time now for driving while disqualified, the magistrate said, I think she was going to give him alternative sentencing if this was like his first time, maybe even a second time. 6 times of driving while disqualified. She said, I have got to, I'll tell you exactly what she said. Honey, child, I had to write down the quote. You know what I'm saying? She said, I'm going to be honest. This needs to be put off. I need a report on the children because, of course, he's claiming, because the wife is in jail. He's the only parent. He has no support. He said something about, he moved from the BRAC. I didn't know that he ever lived in the BRAC as an adult. But anyway, he claims that his support system is in the BRAC and there's nobody to help him with the children and yada, yada, yada. So she's asking for a report on the children. But she said, given the number of times that you have already done this before, I am compelled to consider a custodial sentence, an appropriate sentence, in the name of justice. We can't continue to allow you to use your children as an excuse for breaking the law and putting other people's lives at risk. Poor Markel. I don't know if it was sinking in yesterday, but he's looking at jail time. And the magistrate was like, listen, you have got to stop this. She said, essentially, you have gone under the radar. For over 20 years, you have been driving and you never had a driver's license. No, sir. She said to him, and I quote, you have got to change the trajectory of your life. Huh? The road is done for you now. This is it. You will not be getting any more chances if we catch you driving again. Even this time, your sixth time of driving whilst disqualified, you are looking at prison. Those poor children might actually have two parents now in jail. She said, your free paper is done. She says, I know you might say that you're trying, but you need to try harder. This is no longer going to cut it. Well, he said that day that he was going for a job interview when he was stopped. And then he also had to go pick up and drop off the children. And that, yes, he was not driving for no reason. The dates for driving whilst being disqualified: 2011, 2013, 2023, 2023, 2023, and now again in 2024. So this is not something new. You can't use excuse that, oh, he's only doing it now because the wife is incarcerated. He was doing it from before. What would have stopped this young man from going and getting a driver's license just like everybody else? It's just like, what? Anyway, 16 previous convictions. As a matter of fact, when he first sat down, there was some confusion about his files because the court had given her, the administrative staff had given her a bunch of his files. And she's like, what are all these files? One from August of last year, but she's like, oh, he's already been dealt with for that. So she was confused. And she actually mouthed to him, I saw her mouthing to him, you have too many files. When a judge says that or a magistrate says that to you, honey child, you might have a problem. Because your sentencing is based in part on previous convictions. You don't have the benefit of being a person of like previous good character, as they say. Anyway, I will certainly keep you guys updated, but this is a hot mess of a situation. Really, really quite a situation. Cynthia the Sea says, wow, never. That's ridiculous, yo. How was he never pulled over before? When he did, police slack bad. Oh, he was pulled over. 16 convictions previously. And 6 now for driving whilst already being disqualified. So you know, the man has already screwed himself. The truth of the matter is he can't go now and get no license. Because if he had a license, they would have taken that away a long time ago and suspended him from driving. He's not supposed to be driving, but he's actually never even had a license to begin with. It's one of the most shocking things that I've seen because, to be honest, most people at least have a license that they can take away. This dude has never had one and he's still out there driving. Evelyn says, oh my God, I'm just so sorry for the poor kids, mom and dad in prison. Symphony of the Sea says no ankle monitor or something. Well, he did say that he has a job now working at McRuss in West Bay. And she said, well, where do you live? He said he lived right next door to where he's working. She said, good. You better ride a bicycle to work. You better ride one of those scooters, anything that does not require a license. Evelyn says, I hope a family member can take the kids and not the government. That will be too much trauma for the children. I mean, listen to me, Evelyn. Sometimes, unfortunately, children are being submitted to already too much trauma in their homes. And the best thing that could happen to them is for them to be put in a decent foster home, in a decent environment. So you got to think about what these children might be enduring. He's a single father. I don't know how well equipped he is to actually really help those children and be there for them anyway. And, when his wife was put in jail, when she was incarcerated, her thing was, oh, yeah, I've got a special needs son that goes to Lighthouse School. You know what the judge told her? You should have thought about that before you orchestrated this brazen robbery of your employer and broke the law and breached. So the courts are getting to the point now where these stories where you could use your kids as leverage and whatever, it's not really having the impact that it used to have, for real. Wanda says, yesterday alone, I was behind 3 vehicles that had no brake lights, plenty of people on the roads without registration or insurance. RCIPS does not seem to care. Perhaps they will when one of their own ends up in an accident. with one of these persons. People complain about road checks, but we need them to make sure that we're all protected against those without insurance. Well, I'm going to go to bat a little bit here, Wanda, to be honest, for the RCIPS, because the truth of the matter is, how much do you expect the RCIPS to be able to do? They can only be so many of them on the roadway. And even if they pulled every single person over that they saw, there will still be a lot of people who are doing what Markel does, get behind the wheel of a car every single day, knowing that they're not supposed to. The traffic list does not support the position that the RCIPS is not doing anything. Right? They're doing something, and the prosecution is trying to do something. The truth of the matter is, folks, is it enough? We have to put the blame with the people who, like him, justify, well, I have things to do, that's why I'm driving. It's like, dude, you are breaking the law 6 times over now, plus the other 10 times. What are you doing? You're putting people's lives at risk. If you ever get in an accident, those people have no protection because of you and your nonsense. Put the responsibility on these people. Now, what we should also do is our legislators need to have a very clear sentencing structure in place. He's never been to jail and he's on time number 6. No. He should have gone to jail a long time ago. Okay? The message has to be crystal clear that you're not going to do this and put people's lives at risk on our roadways, and nothing is going to happen to you. 6 times he's gotten a slap on the wrist, the 5 previous times. Here we are at number 6. Why has it taken so long for the courts to finally say, son, you are going to jail? Even now, I suspect they're going to give him a suspended sentence. They're still going to go soft on him. Oh, this is going to be your final warning this time. Next time, you're definitely going to jail. Why? The man has demonstrated, she admitted it herself, 20 years of this attitude that I don't care what the law has to say. I'm going to drive when I feel like it. What they should do is take his vehicle and impound it. Why does he continue to have access to an unlicensed, unregistered, no insurance vehicle, no roadworthiness certificate? Impound that vehicle. These are the areas in which the law not making no sense. And I can't blame the police for that. I mean, I don't know who has the power of impounding stuff. But this is a ridiculousness. Another guy in court, we got to write a story about him because I got to find out who his wife is. Apparently his wife is a civil servant and he's here on permit because of her. And out there driving allegedly 102 miles an hour on the Esterly Tibbetts Highway. And it's not his first time caught speeding. These are not the kind of people that we need here. Let me not mince my words, not at all. I'm not speaking any other language. I'm speaking English, yes? You come to this country doing 102 miles per hour on the Esterly Tibbetts Highway in the middle of the friggin' day, you are endangering people's lives. And you've done it before. Sorry for you. Get me my stamp. See my little stamp here? This only says entered. This is for my document. This is what I would do. Get me my little stamp. You can't come back. Goodbye. And if the wife has to go with you, she works for government, toodaloo, then you go too. We got enough people here dying and overseas, dying for a little government job. She'll be just fine. Like, seriously, what the hell? You have no regard for people's lives. And try and hush but him. I'm putting him up later. I just gotta get his age and stuff like that. Anybody have a picture of him, send it through to me. Because I put his picture in blast too. What his name was again? Michael Lee Rogers. Anybody know Michael Lee Rogers? He works construction and claims say his wife worked government. Morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandy. Kaboom to you. Another subject is not. It's on the same subject of traffic. Why don't the inspectors, when they're giving these drivers license, because some of them do give license, they they just take them out there for formality and just give them their license. Why don't they make sure they know where their dip switch is located and how to use it? I have been blinded so much that I keep blinking my lights but I generally pull off when a car is blinding me. It is ridiculous to see the amount of people on the road with their high beams, and they just don't care. Another thing that the inspectors need to do is, for when the cars are being tested for roadworthiness, make sure they have a piece of plywood in front of that or section of the inspection office where they put their high beams on this board, and they can see whether or not because sometimes they have on only high beams. You know, this LED lights is dangerous.
Thank you, my dear.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Someone just said on another note, please mention the mess on the road in town. They have it blocked by the post office today. Traffic is horrible and everyone's being late for work. Oh, but that whole thing, that's been blocked off. I understand what you're saying now. Sorry, I wasn't quite reading when you say in town by the post office. That has been blocked off for like months now. In the name of this supposed revitalization project, they've been devitalizing the whole of Georgetown for months now. I mean, it's ridiculous. Poor what's it called? Beans and chocolate. What's it called? What was that restaurant called again? Chocolate and bread and chocolate. They've closed down after 11 years. And I'm sure the lack of proper foot traffic because of this digging up of the roads in town for months now has not helped. They're not revitalizing downtown, none at all. Sure. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, morning, Sandy.
Morning, Alejandro.
I know one thing for sure that is going on in this island is that the people do not understand how to judge character. You got people on the road that are nervous as hell, as if they were in bumper cart. Like, you know, when you go to the arcade and you go and play them little bumper cart games where you just drive around and bump into people and you see them let go the steering wheel and, you know, like going around in a merry-go-round kind of foolishness, right? I believe they have those type of people on this island, you know, and I don't understand how they get their license. We have the easiest system on the island to get license as long as you can pay for it. No joke. Like, the people that you see, they can't even reverse park. You see, when they turn in, they be like, sometimes you be wondering if these cars have power steering or not, because they turn these wheels as if they were turning sailboats. And I don't know how they are allowed to pass driver's license nervous. They pass their driver's test nervous, more than likely press the brake several times when they see someone on the side of the road. And you know, like, the nervousness should be a identification of you're not ready to be on the road. You have a lot of those people here. You just watch them on the road all the time, and you wonder where these people come from. You know, they're allowed to drive rental cars. First of all, I'm not gonna bash everybody that drive rental cars. I understand this island is expensive, but you're allowed to give people rental cars that just getting their license yesterday. You imagine that. And because they are at age to drive, then you have a lack of experience on the road, not knowing that you have a lack of experience because you have a driver's license. And you're allowed to drive like a maniac because you're going to have fun with your friends and you're late. Gee, Sandy, if you see the things that are going on the road, just go on West Bay Road alone, the amount of people that you would see driving without lights in the night, coming out of bars. It's evident. Just go out there and then you might only see one police on the road the whole entire drive from Georgetown to West Bay. And then the traffic that they cause when they get in an accident and you can't make it home on time or pick up your children from school on time because they blocked off a whole road for your stupidity. Gee, man, listen to me. You have people sun gazing in the midday. And I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. They're blind. They see black and blue or whatever it is. I don't know. But they have a hard time driving on this island, and we're allowing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, caller.
All right.
It is a hot mess out there. I can tell you that. Somebody just sent me a video this morning. Another example of bad driving. It's just flabbergasted. It's shocking what is being allowed to happen in this country. The footage is there. So this person says no town is blocked. They had one lane open. Now they have no lanes open. Lord Jehovah. Seriously? They better hurry up with this revitalization project because this is ridiculous. Anyway, let's talk about the chicken pox for a couple minutes remaining in the program. I'll post this this video. Trying to find it again that somebody sent me. Let me see here. Yeah, I'll try to find the video again that somebody sent this morning with this person driving. Not a good look, I can tell you that much. Dangerous is really what it is. Truth be known. Okay. Let me see here. All right, I'll try to find. Oh, yes. So this one says this A-double-S, fill in the blank, the rest of it. H in there and an O and an L and a, you figure it out. Is driving in the walking and bicycle lane as its way, on its way into West Bay this morning, ran off 2 cyclists off the road and a few joggers, had to avoid the driver. I even beat to warn the driver, and then he flipped me the finger. Folks, this is the madness that's on our roadway. So we'll post them up and we'll also share it with the RCIPS because now when they have video evidence of this kind of behavior, they need to haul these people in. All right, long and short of it, where is the public transport? Where is the public transport coming? Says Damien. Been 8 years and more overdue. Good morning, Miss Aline. All right, folks. So we have a situation here with an outbreak of chickenpox. Now, I kind of thought that this was a thing of the past. I got to be honest with you. I didn't even know that we saw chickenpox around the place. Now that there's a vaccine available, remember we talked about this some months back, maybe even last year, the year before. I didn't even know that they had a vaccine for chickenpox because as a kid, I remember when I got it, it was not fun. So evidently there is a vaccine. It's 90-something% effective. I don't know now if what is happening here means that people are not getting vaccinated or what the case is. But what I will say is this is obviously very, very concerning to see that we have at least 6 students now who have tested, my apologies, positive for being chickenpox, for having chickenpox. They're not telling us what schools. I know a lot of you is like, Sandy, where is this? Where's the outbreak? Whatever. They are not giving us any schools or anything like that. So we just have to take all precautions necessary. The number one precaution, folks, is to make sure your children are properly vaccinated. It's as simple as that. As part of their immunization program for children, if you're not sure, contact public health and ensure that you have that vaccination card. Now, there's some schools, mostly private schools. I don't know about the public schools, but you can't get into those schools unless you present a vaccination card. And they ensure that your children, that's one of the criteria for possible consideration for entry, is your children have got to be properly vaccinated. Chicken pox doesn't tend to kill people, but my God, it is a very, very uncomfortable thing. I told you guys, I got it. I want to say I was like in middle school, I believe, when I got it. And you know what is so funny? I didn't even know that I had it. And there was the first sign of it was actually in the tip of my nose. And to this day, if you look really, really closely at my nose, I can still feel it. I have a little scar there because the first little chicken pox blister, whatever, came out right on the tip of my nose. And I was like, what is that? Of course, as a kid, you think, is that a zit like on my nose? Like, what's going on? I got one little one there. And then I had a little scar. That one might be gone now. That was kind of like in my cleavage area. And that was the first two signs that I was getting the chicken pox. And boy, the itching, oh my gosh, it's horrible. So there's a communal outbreak is basically what the authorities are saying, what public health is saying. And they have alerted us. They said that it's against PAHO and the World Health Organization policies to indicate exactly where the outbreak is. Now, I got to tell you, I mean, I don't agree with that, but it is what it is, I suppose. You know, I mean, certainly, like I said, during COVID, we knew exactly where people were having these outbreaks. And I think that they were even telling us and confirming. Remember when there was the one at Red Bay? They certainly confirmed that. So was PAHO's policy different because of the COVID outbreak specific to that? I'm not really sure. But they actually say that, oh, they're not allowed to mention which countries and whatever. Well, hello. I mean, you told us it's the Cayman Islands, obviously, and it's in our local schools here. That's in the press release that you sent out. So I'm confused by what that means. I don't really know. I don't understand it. But this was official response. Sandra, the press release won't state any schools as it is against PAHO's and WHO's guiding principles to identify countries, cities, schools, workplaces, etc. Well, you've already identified it in the Cayman Islands, Grand Cayman, to be specific. So I don't know what y'all talking about, but okay, whatever. So to answer the previous caller's question, an earlier call about the Honduran lady, my source says she's not going anywhere. She got more pull than Al in. So seems like she's still here. And our cabinet, remember now, they're the ones who are approving her. But, you know, it's ridiculous. Somebody's saying, can we please ban him again? He does my expletive head in. Sorry for the cuss words. Technically, he is still banned. But occasionally I answer the phone. So I think what you're asking me to do is not be soft. My gosh. Y'all just like it when Auntie's hard. Oh, my goodness. My goodness. What a mess. Somebody else says, I just lost some brain cells listening. God bless that boy, but I can't deal with him. Ay, ay, ay. All right. What a hot mess. I don't know what to say. So I guess make sure your kids are vaccinated against chickenpox. Be careful if you see any signs of anything. I figure by tomorrow, you as parents will start to tell me what kids are out sick at your school with it, if it is happening at your schools. It just is what it is. Okie dokie. Let me see what else we had. We're just about out of time this morning. Oh, by the way, if you are in the government building, ICCI, we're going to pop by and say hi to them. They're going to be by there with an open house today, so we'll pop in and see what's going on. I want to leave y'all with this. Listen very, very carefully to this, because education is still very much a topic that we need to talk about. But here is a theory that I must tell you, I'm believing.
In education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right.
I must say, I'm in agreement there, honey chill. What a hot mess. On that note, end of the program. Y'all have a good day. Hope to see y'all tomorrow morning. What is tomorrow? Thursday? Yes. No. Today's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday? I don't even know what day of the week it is. Oh my gosh. Tomorrow's Friday already? What? We'll have an update tomorrow. Strong Wilt on that case as well. Looks like there's a caller who's anxious to get in. Hold on one second, honey child. Yes, good morning. Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, morning. Well, I gotta tell you.
Yes, ma'am.
If you had chicken pox, you need to go get the shingle shot because they say once you reach 50, you're in chances of getting that anyhow. And if you think chicken pox is bad, get that old shingle. Let me tell you, that's
so do terrible. They have a vaccine for shingles?
Yes, they have a vaccine. I didn't know.
Oh.
They have it, and they told me that and after I turned 50, yes, they have it. It named Shingrix or something like that. Yes, hospital have. Well, that's I get it, but I get it after I done had it. But girl, that shingle is terrible. And they said that chicken pox, and after you turn 50, you should get the shingle vaccine. And let me tell you that is terrible. And that whole thing, you can get that all over your face and think, oh, well, look, I only had it wrong my side, and it never me. But let me tell you, I couldn't even. I had to keep my shirt up. And the doctor gave me one little old tube thing. It wasn't even long. It's one of the lengths on your finger, and I had to put it on 3 times a day. And that wasn't doing nothing. And you know what get mine better? That purple medicine. I called my mother-in-law and asked her if she think that would have helped with them. And she said, well, old people used to say that good for anything. And I can tell you, and barely, that's what dry up my stuff. And I only got about like, and then what happened? That whole thing is a nerve. The shingle is a nerve thing. My brother tell me that he had it 2 years when I was telling him about it, wrong his navel, and now and then you feel like somebody grabbing you, like a grabbing, because it never comes out of your system after you get it. But so far, I don't have the pain in my sides and thing no more, but that is terrible. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. And my daughter was telling me that her friend had it, and they had it all over your face, and it leaves ugly scars. You can get it on your face. So try check that out and go get that shot for that. It's terrible.
You. Yes, I'm going to look into it for sure, because God knows I can't take no stress.
After you turn 50, you should get it.
Okay, well, I'm ready for mine. I got to go find out. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. Yes, nuggets of information. Magdalene says it's not covered by a lot of insurance policies. It's $200 per shot, and the lady is speaking the truth. So I need to figure out then, Magdalene, is it just one shot, or is it a series of shots, or I don't know anything about the shingles vaccine. So let me try and get some information. So yeah, I'm getting mine, honey child. I believe in being vaccinated. My little brown skin too pretty to be having all them spots on it. One shot. I'm gonna find that $200. Extra twerking time on the polls, folks. Here we come. Honey child. All righty. Oh, gosh. Yes, ma'am. Hello?
It's only one shot, but I never pay nothing for mine because cynical must be cover mine. I don't know really what cost, but I get it at Georgetown Hospital.
Yeah, normally if it's a vaccine in public health, they tend to
maybe that cheaper, and if they charge you, I don't know if they charge you maybe cheaper than the other places, but I don't know where.
Some people are saying it's one shot. Some people saying two. Person said I had shingles around my neck a few months ago from stress.
They never tell me not to. I will tell you, I can't contradict them, but I get the one shot, and I get it at Women's Health at Georgetown Hospital.
All right, thank you very much.
But that is terrible, I can tell you, because I had it in that via pains like anything. And I only had a couple on my side, but I had to keep my shirt up. I had to keep my pants pulled down. You can't make nothing touch it. Too some glows, and then they be oozing the little things that ooze runs.
You're making my head itch. Okay, don't tell me anymore. Don't tell me anymore. Oh God. Okay. That gives me the bejeebers. Certain things I cannot take, honey child. That was just too much of a description there. Ay. Oh Lord, now my head's scratching me. Oh God. Okay. Yes, sir. I'm gonna find out about the vaccine and see if I can't get it. I'm gonna make my appointment this week. I'm not playing around. I'm not about that shingles life. Magdalene says 2 shots. Brenda says 1 shot. Siobhan laughing out loud. I definitely got to go get my shot, but not there yet because I'm nowhere near 50. Shingles, very uncomfortable. They form between the thighs or in your back. My mom had it 20 years ago. Oh, Jesus. Oh, let's call public health. They can tell us if there's a cost associated and how it works. Hold on now. Hopefully they'll answer the phone. 2648. Let's get it.
Public Health Outpatient Service.
You may start your message now.
Anybody going to answer the phone? Outpatient service has a voicemail? 949. What's the number? 8600? Is that the hospital? Let's try the main line.
Thank you for choosing the Health Services Authority.
Okay.
This call may be monitored for quality assurance. If you know the extension you're trying to reach, you may dial it now. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. Please listen carefully
Someone
as our
says
menu
that,
options have changed.
I had shingles around my neck a few months ago from stress. It's no
for
joke.
patient-related
Horrendous.
matters or to
I
speak with
had
a
to get
patient
the shot.
experience officer, press 2. For clinics and hours of operation, press 3. For pharmacy and other departments, press 4. For hospital wards, press 5.
Did they say public
Press
health?
star to hear these menu options again, or press 0 to be transferred to the operator.
Shall we just go to the operator? I didn't
You are
even hear.
being
I wasn't listening.
transferred.
Sorry.
Please remain on the line.
Strong Will
Many
says call the
generation.
city.
We have elevated our level of care to ensure you, our patients, have the best possible experience. We offer better access to care close to home with
Let's
the
see
most
how long it takes
locations
to get
on
to a
all
live
3
person, and then we'll
We
call
are
health
currently
city.
areas. We are a JC.
President, good morning, Retail Service Authority.
Yes, hi, good morning. Can I reach someone in public health, please?
Sure.
HSA.KY. The Health Services Authority's new pharmacy is now Smith Road Medical Center. The new location features a large, comfortable waiting area and ticketing system to improve experience. All uncollected prescriptions and refill requests will now be available for collection at the Smith Road Pharmacy. Request your refills online at hsa.ky via WhatsApp 925-6532 or call 244-2715. For more information about our pharmacy hours, visit hsa.ky.
Your Cayman Islands Health Services Authority has been the national healthcare provider of the Cayman Islands for many generations. We have elevated our level of care to ensure you, patients, have the best possible experience. Better access to care close to home with the most.
We are a JCI accredited organization with a proven record of excellence. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you. For more information, visit hsa.ky.
The Health Services Authority's new pharmacy is now open at the Smith Road Medical Center. The new location features a large, comfortable waiting area and ticketing system to improve the patient experience. All uncollected prescriptions and refill requests previously submitted will now be available for collection at the Smith Road Pharmacy. Request your refills online at hsa.ky via WhatsApp 925-6532 or call 244.
Good morning, Retail Service Authority. This is Susan. I'm help you.
Yes, hi. I was trying to get through to public health.
has been the national healthcare provider of the Cayman Islands for many generations. We have elevated our level of care to ensure you, our patients, have the best possible experience. We offer better access to care close to home with the most locations on all 3 islands, delivering a full range of primary, secondary, tertiary, and emergency care. HSA is a JCI accredited organization, and we are committed to caring for you.
HSA's cardiology clinic is now located at Smith Road Medical Center.
Public Health, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Can you give me some information, please, on the shingles vaccine? Like the
I'll have to
cost?
send, yes. I'll send the call to Nurse Annika Price, though she's the one to give out the information. Kindly hold for me, okay?
All right, thank you.
Please hold. Sure, you're very welcome.
There's to us.
The Health Services Authority has over one.
Nope.
Good morning, Public Health. Can I help?
Yes, hi. I'm trying to inquire about the shingles vaccine.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
What do you need to know? I'm the right person.
You're the right person. Okay, great. Yeah, the phone was ringing for a while, so I wasn't sure if it went back to someone else. But
I was up around the corner talking with someone.
yeah, no worries. So I'm just trying to confirm if there's a cost associated with it, and then how many shots are part of the vaccine for shingles.
There's 2 shots are part of the vaccine. There's series, one, and then 2 months later another one. There is a cost, but you need to speak with the receptionist. Can I put you through to him, and then he will give you an appointment?
No. I'm wondering if it's like that. That's fine. That there's a cost.
It's under $300, something around there.
Yeah. Okay. No problem. So it's actually 2 shots. So you do a first one, and then there's a second course 2 months later.
Yes, there is a second one 2 months later, and you have to be 50 or over to get it.
Okay. All right. No problem.
And you preferably a history of chicken pox, also disease.
Yes. Okay.
If the person has no history whatsoever, then I would query whether or not the person was given the 2 chickenpox vaccines, and I would also wonder whether we should test the blood to see if they got the antibodies or not. Then we'll know how to proceed.
Okay. So basically how it works is if you've had chickenpox, you wouldn't have the antibodies for shingles, so you should get the vaccine if you're over 50.
Yes, that's exactly how it works, because the virus after you've had chickenpox never leaves your body. It lies in the nerves waiting until your immunity is low. Then it manifests itself as this shingles rash. And it's a terrible thing because it's terrible to get rid of, hard to get rid of, and you got to suffer it, and it can do damage to your nerves.
Oh my gosh.
So it's not nice having shingles. You can have it for 1 week or 1 month or 1 year.
Okay. I'll call back and make my appointment to get the vaccine done. All right. Not a problem.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right then. Thanks.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. That sounds horrible. Somebody said who wanted to call Health City to see if they offer it. I don't know. I mean, did I say Health City? Yeah. I'm not sure. Let's find out if they have the shingles vaccine as well. Oh my. Make sure you get vaccinated.
Thank you for calling Health City Cayman Islands.
But she might not
If
know
this
that.
is a medical emergency, please hang up now and dial 911. You can now book appointments and view medical records at your fingertips. Visit the App Store or Play Store and download our app, HCCI Connect.
Press 1 for appointments. Press 2 for insurance and billing. Press 3 for pharmacy. Press 4 for medical records. Press 5 for the nurses station. Press 6 to reach our administrative department. Press 0 to speak to our operator. Press pound to repeat the menu.
Maybe
Please
3.
be advised that your call may be recorded.
Pharmacy might know this, I think. Maybe.
All of our agents are taking care of other customers. Please stay on the line, and the next available agent will be with you shortly.
Health City, Cayman Islands. Only the second hospital in the Caribbean to receive the Joint Commission International's Hospital Accreditation, providing compassionate, high-quality, affordable healthcare services in a world-class, comfortable, patient-centered environment, offering healthcare to local, regional, and international patients. Health City, Cayman Islands delivers excellence in adult and pediatric cardiology, cardiac surgery, and cardiac electrophysiology. We are also...
So somebody else said the cost is $200.
Thank you for waiting. Please stay on the line. The next available agent will be with you shortly. Your position in the queue is
1.
Yeah, boy, that's definitely scared me, faded, Mary Jane.
Only the second hospital in the Caribbean to receive the Joint Commission International's Hospital
Come on now, build up this immune system because I don't have $300. I'm not taking any chances. Sounds horrible. So they can last a year. Can you imagine? And damage your nerves? No, sir.
Health City, Cayman Islands delivers excellence in adult
They're not playing around with that.
cardiology, cardiac
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't hit pharmacy. I don't know.
electrophysiology.
Should I hit 0
We are
now?
also a leading
Thank you for waiting. Please
I'm
stay
not
on
sure
the
if it's gonna
line. The
take me
next
to-
available agent will be with you shortly. Your position in the queue is
1.
Please continue to hold and someone will assist you shortly. If you would like to leave a message and have someone call you back, press 1.
Health City, Cayman Islands. Only the second hospital in the Caribbean to receive the Joint Commission International's Hospital Accreditation, providing compassionate, high-quality, affordable healthcare services in a world-class, comfortable, patient-centered environment, offering healthcare to local, regional, and international patients. Health City, Cayman Islands delivers excellence in adult and pediatric cardiology, cardiac surgery, and cardiac electrophysiology. We are also a leading...
Thank you for waiting. Please stay on the line. The next available agent will be with you shortly. Your position in the queue is
1.
Health City, Cayman Islands. Only the second hospital in the Caribbean to receive the Joint Commission International's Hospital Accreditation, providing compassionate, high-quality, affordable healthcare services in a world-class, comfortable, patient-centered environment, offering healthcare to local, regional, and international patients. Health City, Cayman Islands delivers excellence in adult and pediatric cardiology, cardiac surgery, and cardiac electrophysiology. We are also a leading...
Thank you for waiting. Please stay on the line. The next available agent will be with you shortly. Your position in the queue is
1.
You know,
please continue to hold and
let's
someone
go
will
to
assist
another
you
department
shortly.
here.
If you would like to leave a message and have someone call
Pharmacy
you back,
is not the
press
department.
1.
Health City, Cayman Islands. Only the second hospital in the Caribbean to receive the Joint Commission International's Hospital Accreditation, providing compassionate, high-quality, affordable healthcare
Can we get
services
somebody
in a
else?
world-class, comfortable, patient-centered environment, offering healthcare to local, regional, and international patients. Health City, Cayman Islands delivers excellence in adult and pediatric cardiology, cardiac surgery, and cardiac electrophysiology. We are also...
Where's pharmacy? If this went through the pharmacy.
Thank you for waiting. Please stay
This
on the
is-
line. The next available agent will be with you shortly. Your position in the queue is
1.
Health City, Cayman Islands. Only the second hospital in the Caribbean to receive the Joint Commission International's Hospital Accreditation, providing compassionate, high-quality, affordable healthcare services in a world-class, comfortable, patient-centered environment, offering healthcare to local, regional, and international patients. Health City, Cayman Islands delivers excellence in adult and pediatric cardiology, cardiac surgery, and cardiac electrophysiology.
Okay, let's try somebody else. Clearly, pressing the pharmacy number is not the way to go. Let me see. What were the other options again? I'm just going to press 0.
Thank you for calling Health City Cayman Islands.
I'm just going to press 0.
Please wait. We are dialing now.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning. Welcome to Health City. This is Hiron. How may I help you?
Yes. Hi. Good morning. Who would be the best person to speak to about available vaccines?
Vaccine you mentioned.
Yes. Like I'm interested in the shingles vaccine. I don't know if you guys offer it or not.
What is the vaccine related to?
Shingles. The shingles vaccine.
Single vaccine. Okay. I can certainly check that. Just give me a minute.
Sure.
Okay, so let me get your name, if you don't mind. Can you provide me your name?
Yep, it's Sandra Hill.
Okay. Sandra Hill. Okay, great. Thank you. Sandra, can you give me a minute? I will be needing a minute to check the information for you.
Okay.
So please bear with me.
Yes.
Will that be okay?
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Yeah, hello?
Yes, hi.
Sandra, are you there?
Yes.
Thank you so much for being on hold. Appreciate your patience.
No problem.
Right, so Sandra, I've just checked with the unit right now. At this point, we don't provide any kind of vaccine in the Health City.
Okay. All right. So no
not
shingles
available.
vaccine. I mean, I know you guys do HPV, so I was kind of wondering if you did shingles as well. Okay.
No. Single is not available.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Apart from that, anything else on which we can help you?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Oh, right then. Thank you so much for calling Health City.
Okay,
Take care.
dear.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Well, there you go. They don't have it. So $200. I'm going to call public health and make my appointment today. I'm sorry, but I ain't joking around now that these kids getting it out there. And I don't know what else makes you get it, but I will not be taking any chances with that today. So I'm going to book my shingles vaccine. Honey chill. All right, folks. Anything else? I think that's it for today. You guys be good. We shall see you mañana, Friday. I can't believe it's Friday already. This week went by kind of fast. Be good or be good at it. Talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.